Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are on Hump Day, and it's that time of the month where our main man, Merle, is here. So Merle it up wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Merle the hell up. Yes, Kim Douthit is our special guest tonight. We're going to get into some paranormal and true crime on Ghosts of the Great White North. But first, we have to say hello to each and every one of you, including race fan in the gold medal position, Laura Lobbs in the silver, SJ with a bronze medal tonight. And then we kick things off with Robert Lamoth. How you doing? Period Dot is here, dotting it all up. The Period Dot will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Road Flare, Bar Madison, Eternity Eternal, Frankie B, and Kathy Evans. Good to see you all. And ready to merle it up is little Timmy James in studio. How you doing, buddy? And there's Fapperoony trying to pull the mic card. That never works. I like in the studio. Merle. That's it. Just Merle. Hardcore with the exclamation point. Mama Catherine, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night. And let's try and make it better with Merle on tap here next. Karen in the Woo Train, how you doing? Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because anytime Merle goes into a show on SOR, he wants to go in nice and smooth, doesn't like the rigidness. So Mel is currently lubing us up as we speak. All right, Fast Hemi, how you doing? Good to see you. Lee the Bee, thanks for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call here tonight. John Jackson, thank you for joining us. And, oh, look at this, Merle. Merle. Beautifully done, Mel. That's why you're the king of lube, right there. Gory Tiger, Warden Dragon, Walter Kochabinski, how y'all doing? Felipe is here. Felipe will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Number 25 in your program tonight, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Kurt M., how you doing? Chill Farm, how you doing? And thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Necessary Dialogue, S. Vermat, John Corner, how are you, my friend? And our guest from last night, Jake from Ghostly Activities. Thank you, my friend, for a great Super Chat. We greatly appreciate that, Jake. Thank you for the love, buddy. All right. Algaray over on Twitch just came home from the gym. You know what he did? He did 500 Merle ups in 22 minutes to warm up for tonight's show. He's pumped. Merle ups. That's right. Laura Lobbs, how you doing? Sandra Kincaid, what's new? Hope you're awake because she works at a sleep farm. Literally a sleep farm. She watches people sleep. Little Timmy James with a big Merle on camera. Mama Catherine with a Merle. J. True Seeker, how are you? Panda on Fire, how you doing? Welcome back. Xanos, Operation Shutdown, and Lenda, thank you all for coming on in. Xanos again, I'm hardcore, merling it up on X right there. And Michael Vieira, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining. He's from Unknown Paranormal. Good to have you here. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Richard Hauser, how you doing? Hector Silo, it's been a while. Jessica McCreary, your hair looks lovely. The lovely and talented Kira, how are you? And we're caught up. We are caught up. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you here as we got Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man, Merle, and our special guest, Kim Douthit tonight. True crime and paranormal. My voice got stuck there. True crime and paranormal coming up here momentarily. We are in roll call on the YouTube side. We are caught up right now. Renee, how are you? Good to see you. And Knucker, I am ready for tomorrow's game. Yes, the Maple Leaf will fly tomorrow night. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's the way it goes. It's the way it goes. Hey, also want to remind you that you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can actually wear our stuff out in public, be proud of it. Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. Central British Columbia. To you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a bunch of features for you. Rock up, Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fun show of paranormal and true crime coming on up. Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man, Merle, comes up momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller has a spooky story for you. Then Little Timmy James is here for the UFO report. Yes, it's that time of the month that you all look forward to. Why? Because our main paranormal man, Merle, is here from Ghosts of the Great White North, the show we do each and every month with him, where we actually talk paranormal on this show, take a break from UFOs and cryptids to actually remember that there's ghosts out there. Yeah, there's ghosts out there haunting away, and everybody's forgotten about them because everybody's eyes are in the sky now. Not skies. Skies is wrong English. It is one sky and one sky only. There's not a plethora of skies. It's just one sky. Merle is based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, where he's called the Paranormal Road Trippers, and he literally investigates anywhere and anywhere he can across the Pacific Northwest, and we love him for it. All right, and our special guest tonight is Kim Douthit. She was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, where she cultivated both her love of theater and her love of all things strange. She attended Hofstra University. She's one of them smart people. Yes, she also attended London Academy of Music and Arts to receive a postgraduate degree in classical acting. Outside of theater, Kim has worked as a paranormal investigator, tour guide, and speaker on topics ranging from true crime, dark history, and the paranormal. And we're going to bring them both on now. Merle, my man, it is good to have you on 2 nights in a row. Last night you were on with Jacob Rice. Now you're on tonight, performing big time. I'm so glad I don't pay you for this, man. You'd be costing me big bucks here.
You're getting a lot of minutes out of me here. I'm tired. And I don't want to talk about the game, man. I'm not even going to be able to sleep. I'm not talking about it. We're just talking to Kim and true crime and haunted things.
Well, let's do that. let us do that, my friend. Now, Merle, you have investigated a number of times with Kim. You've got to know her through the paranormal world. Why don't you introduce us to the special guest you brought here tonight?
So Kim, she's awesome. She has a heck of a podcast called Ghoulish Tendencies. And yeah, I met her through Jake. Jake speaks extremely highly of Kim, and any friend of Jake is a friend of mine. And yeah, we actually investigated, I guess, officially together, a month ago?
About a month ago now, yeah. Oh, can't believe it's been a month.
I know. Next week is March. In Port Townsend, Washington, Dave, we talked about it a little bit last night. We investigated the Palace Hotel. And it was really, Kim was kind of steering the ship. She was interviewing us, and you had one of the haunted rooms at the Palace Hotel, actually. We're jumping right into the investigation.
But we didn't know that at the time. And that was one of the things that I absolutely loved. We did not find out that my room was one of the haunted rooms until our very last day there.
Yeah, because you had an experience.
Before we continue on with that, let's tell our radio audience what the Palace Hotel is.
Ah, yes. So the Palace Hotel, it's located in Port Townsend, Washington, so Pacific Northwest. For a lot of the ghosty people, it's right next door to Manresa Castle, and that is one of your Waverly Hills type places, Dave. That all the people like to flock to because it's been on all the shows. All of the shows rotate through Manresa Castle, but they always overlook the Palace Hotel. And the Palace Hotel, it was a brothel. It was a brothel for many years. All of the rooms are actually allegedly named after a lot of the ladies that used to work there. And each room, not all of them, but a handful of the rooms have ghostly activities and stories throughout them. Like my room, I think I stayed in Mary's room.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? No, that was Melissa staying in that room. But my room was said to have a spirit sitting on the bed and basically watching you kind of in the shadows. I did not experience much, but Kim stayed in a room there and wasn't said to be haunted, but you had experiences there.
I had an experience. And the hotel itself, it's a really cool old hotel. It's very eclectic. It has all this personality. When you first walk in, there's this big staircase and this big red carpet that goes up it. It's unfortunately, it is not wheelchair accessible because it's a very, very old building. It was, I believe, construction started in the late 1880s. And each room has very much an old personality. It's been decorated to look like it would have when it was first built and to really embrace its history. So I had this very charming room on the second floor. And as far as I had been told, it was not haunted. So the very last night, we went to bed. I don't know, it was probably around midnight or so when we kind of disbanded. And I went to sleep. I have a wall in that room where one side is the street and the other side shares a wall with the other bedroom. And I woke up very, very early because I heard whispering, but not like in my ear. It felt like it was a good 6 to 8 feet away, like someone just talking in a very low voice and continuously talking, just this kind of stream of conversation. And when you first wake up, you're a little groggy. You're like, what's going on? Am I home? Did I leave the TV on? And when it kind of clicked in what was happening, I jolted upright and I looked in the corner and there was nothing I could see. And all of a sudden the sound stopped. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And it wasn't until we were speaking to some of the staff, it was one of the cleaning staff, I believe, who we hadn't spoken to yet. And she was a wealth of information. She just started telling us about all these little stories and things. And when I asked about her room, she's like, oh, yeah, people hear things in there. I was like, I heard things.
And one interesting thing about the Palace Hotel, Dave, which I found really interesting, was, you know how there's the Shanghai tunnels in Oregon, like in Portland, Oregon. Did you know the Palace Hotel in Port Townsend was the third most popular spot where people got shanghaied because they had tunnels all underneath, underneath the Palace Hotel and other buildings. They're going right to the ports.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's
And you can
history right there.
Yeah.
What's really cool is they're shops. You can go into some of those tunnels and there's really, really cute shopping, and they've got some displays and stuff up. So you can still visit the tunnels and see that history. And I do enjoy when a city is able to kind of make use of
Yes.
some of that less than savory history.
Yes, because it's always good to be able to go into a Shanghai type tunnel and get a nice pork loin cut.
Hey man, I need my fancy candles.
Absolutely.
Like, where else am I gonna get my fancy candles, man?
I guess so. The Shanghaiing, they called it crimping
Mhm.
in Port Townsend, technically, which is kind of a funny term.
Very 80s.
Yep. But Kim, tell us about your podcast. We went like right into ghost hunting. We didn't even really talk about how you got interested into this stuff.
I mean, I'll always go right into ghost hunting. No, I have a podcast called Ghoulish Tendencies with my absolutely fabulous co-host Gabby, and we both met through ghost hunting initially, and kind of clicked. We were like, "Hey, you seem cool. You seem cool. We should talk ghosty things." And what's nice is that we don't just cover the paranormal. We kind of cover anything in the macabre, ghoulishy. We do true crime. She loves cryptids, so we do quite a bit of cryptids. The odd alien encounter, curses. I've done a couple cursed movies. And every so often we pull out, she'll do some cult episodes. I did one recently on a train disaster. I did one on Floyd Collins, who was a guy that got stuck in a cave. So we go a little bit all over the map, but we balance each other because I lean a lot more. I do a lot of the ghosts, the curses, and the true crime, and she likes a lot of the cryptids, the aliens, the kind of. It balances out some of the really dark topics we'll cover when you can talk about, the pants. What is it? The Fresno pants guy, the cryptid with a really graphic true crime. So it's nice to have that balance. You don't want all of one or the other.
Fair.
But we've been doing the podcast now since, I want to say we're right around 5+ years. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
What is time anymore? Yeah. And we've got some cool episodes coming up. So I'm really excited with some of the things we have that are on the slate to be released soon. Yeah.
And we'll double back into your episodes a little later, but what got you into this field of paranormal?
Oh, well, I was a theater kid. Shocker. And one of the things, not everyone actually might know this, that there's a huge relationship, I think, between theater and ghost stories. All theaters are haunted. That's just fact. It doesn't matter if it's your high school theater, if it's a big famous theater, it is haunted. And so you grow up with the stories of, the ghost that haunts the dressing room, who used to be an actor at the high school, but one day got in a car accident and now he haunts the dressing rooms. And every school has a variation on that. Every theater has a variation on that. So I already had it very kind of firmly ingrained as just part of my theater culture. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. We love the weird. We love our ghost stories. I would go on Bigfoot hunts when I was a kid because I thought he lived in my backyard. I still think he kind of does. I don't know. Might just be my neighbor. We'll find out. But yeah, I always had a little bit of a fascination with it. I was a horror film kid too. I was raised on slasher films and raised on all those fabulous bad 70s monster movies that I used to watch with my mom. And as I went to grad school in London, London turns out has a real cool haunted history.
Sure does.
And I wanted to take as many tours as I can. I went to Edinburgh, took all those tours, and I started to really get interested in the history behind the ghost stories, which is something that's always really fascinated me, kind of trying to trace the origin story of a ghost story, and how accurate it is. History plays a lot of like one giant game of telephone.
100%.
You start a story and it gets passed down and it gets changed. And especially on a lot of the ghost tours, I'd hear a story and I'd be like, wow, that sounds insane. I can't believe that's true. And then I start researching. I'm like, it's not really true. That's okay. Still fun.
How long did you live in London for?
I was
Study?
there for a year. I was in an accelerated program. So I was there for a year. I would have stayed happily longer. I loved living in London.
Me too. I lived in southeast London,
Oh,
right by Whitechapel, and I actually have two
oh,
ghost stories, Dave, that I don't think I've told before about living there. I
Phyllis,
lived in a really, really old. It was kind of a hostel / apartment,
Mm.
but we're talking like 1700s building, and it was also used as a brothel, like every building probably was back then. And I was coming home from work one night, sober, mind you. I worked in a pub, but I was sober. And I go, there's no elevators. So I'm walking up all the steps. And I see what looks like a Victorian era lady with fiery red hair and like a mint green dress, like one of those hoop dresses like they would have worn. And she looked at me and kind of hiked her skirt up a bit, and then I kind of just do like the double take face of like, what is happening here? And gone. She was gone.
oh, wow.
And yeah. And another quick story I had when I lived there. This was again coming home from work. I was I took a shortcut and I went down one of the old alleys, and I felt somebody run up right behind me and like push me in the back and launch me. And I look behind me, I'm like, well, I'm getting robbed. and nobody was there. Not a soul. No one could have even hid because it was a straight shot.
Oh, jeez.
And I could even hear the footsteps going doom, doom, doom toward like up to me. It's so fast I didn't have time to react. And then yeah, when I turned around, it was nothing there, man.
Oh, that's wild. Well, and so it was when I was in London that I had my first like outside of the theater when we're doing the Ouija board on the stage and somebody's pushing the Ouija board like all the time. Well, I did have, when I was in college, there was this little black box theater on one end of the campus, and it was where all the student productions would happen. So the student directed things would all happen there. And I was there pretty late one night with the stage manager of the show. I was acting in the show, and my friend who lived across the hall was stage managing it, which meant she had to lock the theater up. So it's just us two.
Dang.
And like, it's a kind of a creepy little theater. It's not humongous. It seats probably like 100 people, but it's an older building, and it's little. The stage manager's booth, you had to walk up all these steps and kind of like crawl into this tiny booth. So I'm just waiting for her. She's in the back, making sure the back door is locked, and I hear a sound. And I mean, I did kind of reenact a horror film, and then I did that stupid, like, is somebody there? Because
Classic.
19, I didn't know any better. And I walk over to the stage manager's booth because I thought maybe my friend was in the booth. Maybe I'd missed her coming back around. She'd gone up the steps and she had to turn off a light board. And it's dark. And I don't see anyone moving. And then my friend comes out from backstage and says, "Are you talking to me?" And like I'm not kidding. It was like out of the Changeling, this ball that they kept in the stage manager's booth. The stage manager uses like a stress ball, bounced down the steps. And I had that moment of just like, is someone up there like messing with us? Is this actually happening? Do I check? And I was at an age where I did not check. Now I would have checked. Then I was I think 19 when it happened, and where I liked the creepy, I wasn't quite ready to be in my own horror film yet. But no, when I was in London, I'd gone on a trip to Stratford-on-Avon, Shakespeare's birthplace. Oh, it's great. It's so much fun, so much history. You've got the river is beautiful. You've got theater, of course, if that's your thing, which it is my thing. But my grad school class went there since we were studying Shakespeare, and nobody would go to this. There was this creepy little museum. It was an old inn. It was 3 stories high. And I think the building was from maybe the 1700s. No one would go inside with me. I was like, all right, well, fine.
On my own.
Yeah. And I go inside. Very, very nice woman is working the front desk. And she's like, it's just going to be you in there. I was like, okay, cool. So I head up, and they've got all these exhibits, and it's the history of Stratford, but it's all the kind of creepy history of Stratford. So stuff about witches and stuff about murders and all the things that are like, ooh, these are my buttons. And I get to the very last floor, and there's all these toys, these dolls, these old toys.
Here we go.
I'm like, okay, cool. And there's a closet door, and it has a sign on it that says, this is a medium's closet. Enter if you dare. And for those who may not know, a medium's closet, it really is just a little quiet, dark room that mediums will use to try to contact spirits. But this one was just this tiny little closet. And I'm just like, I dare. Yeah, totally. I got this. And I reach my hand out. I touch the doorknob. I start to turn it. And it was like somebody slapped my hand away.
Oh, dang.
And I had never experienced before physical touch from something. I was like, okay, maybe I won't go inside. Back away. And there was one last room on the top floor. So I walk into the room. And as soon as I walked in there, I felt unsettled. Like there was something just right behind me, breathing down my neck. And it's almost cliche because I hear people tell stories like this, and sometimes it's like with half an eye roll, like, okay, you felt something right behind you. But I understood that for the very first time, why somebody would say that. And it was so unsettling. And I felt like staying in there would have done me harm for some reason. I was like, I need to leave this room. So I turned around, I walked back all the way down to the first floor. And I'm in the entryway, and that very nice lady is still behind the desk. And I find a book on the history. So I go to purchase the book, and I'm kind of like, do I bring this up with her? And so I say, hey, I have to ask you. And she interrupts me. She goes, oh, the last floor? And I was like, yeah.
She knew.
She knew. She's like, people report stuff there all the time. They often report, I think it was 2 different spirits, one that is very malicious feeling, one that has just a lot of negative energy, and one that seems to be more helpful. And there was stories she heard, she wasn't sure how accurate they were, about somebody being murdered up in that room, and that might be the origin of some of the spirits. But she's like, I've never verified that. It would have been back when it was still an inn. That was a really long time ago. And my own theory is that the spirit slapping my hand was the helpful spirit being like, don't go in that dark closet when there's something nasty up here. Yeah. So London for me was really formative in kind of taking my ghost fascination to the next level.
Fair.
Yeah. And it was me rambling on about ghosts for a while. Sorry, y'all.
No, that's good though. That's what London does to people.
It does.
Yep. What do you think, Dave?
I think I'm just locked in on the story right now. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We got Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers. Our special guest, Kim Douthit, is here. You can check out her podcast at ghoulishtendencies.com. That's ghoulishtendencies.com. So make sure you check it on out. We're going to get into more ghost stories. We're going to get into more true crime. Can the two blend together? And we're going to continue this great show that is ghostly ghoulish and goblinish right here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear and on break. Hi, Black Dragon. Semper Fi to you, Marine. Good to see you. Vanessa, nice to have you here. Millennium, my man. Andromedan, nice to have you guys here. Who else has jumped in here under the gun that I didn't see?
That's what I was just checking out too.
Vanessa's merling it up. Just like that. All right. And
That was a quick half hour. Dang.
Deal you woo poo. How you doing? Oh, my sciaticas.
Oh, we got Vaughn in there, Tim Mothman, the Dot.
Mothman. I got Mothman.
Yeah, we love Tim Mothman.
And his goatee.
Big goatee guy.
Love it.
Yeah, strong goateeing right there from Tim
I
Mothman.
love a good goatee.
I like a statement goatee.
He's got a good goatee.
Yes.
We got just catching up with this stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about haunted true crime. I actually did an investigation with Mike, who from Unknown, who's in the chat right now.
Ooh.
We did the Vancouver Police Museum and Archives.
Oh, I bet that was fascinating.
Yep. You need to come up here and check that out. Jake's on the case too. I told him it's time to go up.
Yes, I'm in. Sold.
Yeah, good.
Doesn't take much. I hear ghosts and murder, and I'm like, whoop.
I'm in. We got lots of Merles in there. We got Frost Kitten Games. We got who do we got?
Some good merling going on right
We have
now.
all these Merles.
High quality thing happening in the chat room right now.
Dave, are you gonna do a big Merle chant in Vegas this year again? That really embarrassed me. I got embarrassed.
Is there video of this?
The casino merled you, man.
They did.
That's amazing.
It was fun.
I walked into the casino minding my own business. I'm pretty quiet, as you probably noticed. I kind of was trying to fly and below the radar. Then old Davy Scott saw me, and then there goes the Merle chant. So, and you got the whole casino doing it. It was a big to-do. I was like,
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
I've been enjoying all the Merles popping up, especially how elongated some of them are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of letters in that Merle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you must elongate the merle.
I'm gonna make
Gotta
that.
do it.
It's an active little chat thing happening. I love it.
It is. That's the one. Yes, Richard Minnick. I said brothel. Said it.
Scandalous.
Yep. Brothel.
So you can't look at history and not say the word brothel. I'm sorry. It's just like every other building in some neighborhoods.
We got Jessica Jones merling it up. That's awesome. We got Marty merling it up. We got Fast Hemi. The gang's all here.
There's Jessica Jones. There's that beautiful lass right there. She better be joining us in Vegas. By the way, did you see your name, Merle?
I haven't even paid attention. I've been too busy talking.
So this is strong game here,
Oh,
man.
no.
Look at that.
I like it. Just don't call me Connor McMerle.
Oh, don't worry, I won't.
That's the one we don't go for.
Don't worry, I won't. We'll get you for the second period. Yeah, second period coming up here.
Oh, heavens.
Connor McMerle. It's got a nice ring to it, though.
Connor McMerle. Yeah, Dave likes a player named Connor McDavid, and I don't, because he plays for a rival team.
Oh,
We don't like rivals too
who are
much.
we supposed to be rooting for? Who am I rooting for?
That's
You're rooting for my team. I
Who
did
has the
say
cooler mascot? That's the question.
we have a whale. They have
Ooh.
oil to
Oh,
symbolize
whale.
capitalism.
Whale
We have
wins.
a lynx. A lynx.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know. I like Lynx.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Guys, hold on right there. Thank you to Chill Farm ×2, Jake, Tim, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support of SOR. If you're new here, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. Mayhem, thank you for joining the super chat tonight. Greatly appreciate your love. And here we go, everybody. Here we go in the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Goes to the Great White North from the Paranormal Road Trippers. We got our main man Merle here talking all things spooky. And our special guest tonight, Kim Douthit. She has a great paranormal podcast that she calls ghoulishtendencies.com. I'm done.
You're done, Dave. You're done. I like this
Words
name.
are hard.
They are hard.
Yeah, words are hard. They are very hard. Very hard. Kim, what is the blend between true crime and the paranormal?
Oh.
Mm.
So, it's a really interesting one because and it kind of comes back a little to something I'd mentioned earlier about that historical telephone game that gets played a lot.
I love that. I'm taking that, stealing that from you.
It's so accurate, which is part of why I enjoy kind of referring to that phenomena of how storytelling through the ages, especially with oral storytelling, the stories start here and by the end they're somewhere different. When you look at some of the old ghost stories that are associated with some true crime, a really good example of that to me is actually Lavinia Fisher, which I'm not sure if either of you have ever heard of Lavinia Fisher. She's a ghost out of South Carolina, but she was a woman who was accused of being a serial killer in the early 1800s.
Tell us everything.
We have a whole episode about it. So if you're interested in the history of Lavinia Fisher and doing a deep dive, you can absolutely find that episode on our podcast. But one of the things that really struck me when I first started researching it was I was hearing all about like this vicious woman who killed all these people, buried them in her inn, and then when she was executed, because she was executed, she was caught and she was hanged. She wore her wedding dress and she flung herself off of the platform, and her ghost is said to still haunt everywhere in her wedding dress. And it's this very fantastical story that's linked very much to this haunted piece of their history in South Carolina. But when you start digging, you're like, well, very little of that is actually true. She did not fling herself off of the platform. She was not wearing her wedding dress when she was executed. And so people talking about seeing her in her wedding dress, people very obviously saw something because people report this haunting. But what did they actually see? And are they thinking it's her only because we associate that piece of history with this bit that we know, this fantastical, this notorious thing we know? So we automatically assume that a ghost who may pop up in a location associated with a murder, associated with a serial killer. It must be related to that murder and that serial killer. And that's something I find really, really, really fascinating.
I'd
Because
like to add
yeah.
something to that, Kim,
Yeah.
because the fact that all of the information points otherwise,
Mhm.
but people are seeing her in a white wedding dress. To me, that's the sound of a tulpa. That people have created that. And
Mhm.
in my area with the museum here, we have what I believe is a tulpa as well of a serial killer named
Oh.
Agnes McVie.
She's real.
She was a real person, but we don't know if she had any ties to my area.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the legend goes is that during the gold rush, she killed over 60 men for
Mm.
gold.
Yeah.
I see, that's right up my alley. And now I'm like, that's going on my episode list of possible topics. Excuse me.
I will
Write that
send you the
down.
book. I will send you a link to the book. Like, there's a whole book written on this certain. I don't know if I want to say character because she was a real person.
She was a real person, but
The lore, the folklore.
the lore.
Like Dave
Mhm.
and I we'll chirp back and forth of because I'm pro Agnes McVie,
Okay.
and there's other spirits in the museum Dave's been to as well, but I think she rules the roost.
See, and the story behind that was when this area was developed in the 1970s,
Mhm.
they wanted a legend to try and bring people up here into
Mm.
supposed to be cottage country.
Mhm.
And so when they were the real estate company that was building this area came up with the concept of Agnes McVie in order to try and tell people that there was spookiness along the Gold Rush Trail and be careful of Agnes around the old post house building.
To get you.
And that is what a lot of the old timers who've lived here 50 plus years claim, that nobody knew of this Agnes McVie or the legend of it until this area was developed. And
Oh, wow.
but Earl's research
Mhm.
has found that she was a real person, that she did come over from Scotland or Ireland, one of the two. Scotland. She was registered in British Columbia. She was registered up here in the interior as well, just south of me a couple hours, but that's where the records run dry. And we have no clue if she ever made it up here.
Hmm.
So there is this giant mystery going on. Now, there are people who claim to have communicated with her. I've investigated that museum, at least 300 times.
Oh, wow.
And I have never once communicated with her.
Hmm.
Never once.
Hmm.
And I know that museum like the back of my hand, where all the ghosts are. And Merle knows that. I'm not exaggerating here, but I've never had it. But people who ask about her or inquire about her, she tends to all of a sudden communicate when people are talking about her and the legend of her murderous spree.
Narcissist.
Mm.
Is she real? We know she's real, but is she a tulpa? Or
Mhm.
is she an actual spirit at the museum? We cannot confirm.
See,
Mhm.
I feel that I'm the first time. I'm talking circa 2015, Dave. There was something in the post house. I guess we all assumed it was Agnes based on the lore. Just so the post house was where it said she used to live because it was a roadhouse back in the day. And again, the whole brothel stuff comes up
Mhm.
because wagon trail, and there's no proof on that either. But there's something darker and cranky we were talking to way back then, for sure.
Well, and it's okay. So the Empress Hotel is kind of another interesting example of one that has a spirit. of the architect, allegedly, Francis Rattenbury.
Oh, in Victoria.
In Victoria, yeah, which I've visited a handful of times. Investigate as much as you can in a hotel that's full of people. But I had covered it a long time ago at this point. But one of the stories that's told is about the architect and how he allegedly haunts the Empress Hotel. But part of what I've always found really interesting about that, well, he didn't die there. He was murdered in England by his it was his wife's lover, if I'm remembering correctly, which is awesome. I mean, like it's a great story, right? Just his story all by itself is fascinating. It's a really, really interesting one. But there are a lot of people who say they've seen him, and you could have a residual haunting, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I am always a little fascinated by some of these, again, more notorious, more well-known spirits that pop up in haunted locations when that was not their final resting place. Jake Bird is another really good example. He was a serial killer, early serial, well, 1920s to 1940s. He was finally caught in the 1940s. He was caught here in Tacoma, Washington, after he bludgeoned a few women to death with an axe. And that was kind of his MO. He rode the rails. He would break into homes to rob them. And if somebody was there, he very well would murder them. But because he was a vagrant and because he was kind of hopping around from state to state, most people weren't making the connections between these deaths. So when he was finally caught in, was it 47? I think, don't quote me on that date. I would need to look it up. Apologies. He was finally caught in the mid 1940s after he had murdered these two women. He was caught the same night. He's saying it wasn't him. They take him to trial. He is found guilty. This all happens very, very quickly. So what's he do? He starts confessing to dozens and dozens and dozens of murders. And they start investigating. And from things he said, they closed 11 open cases in other locations based on information he gave. And then they executed him because they were like, we're done waiting. But he had spent quite a long period of time in a prison, and I believe it was Omaha. And it was a whole episode of Zach Baggins did a whole thing on it. He's my absolute favorite. About how Jake Bird haunts this prison where he lived like a decade before he ever actually died, and there's nothing to show he would have a reason to haunt this prison, not even as a residual. They're like, no, he's here. His intelligence is here. We hear him. No, I don't know. I struggle with that. I struggle with, why would he come back to haunt this prison? If he's going to haunt a prison, why wouldn't it be the one he was executed in? That feels more likely. But because he's a notorious figure, we want to attach that story to him. We want to have a name. I think that's it. People want to have a name. They want to know a history and a name and an identity to their ghost. It's more fun. It's more satisfying. That's my siren. Sorry. They're coming for me.
But would you think that a lot of the locations, like you were just saying, person A, what was, I was gonna say put to sleep, sorry, was executed in the prison A, but spent most of his time in prison B. Do you think a lot of these locations like to, for lack of a better term, claim the fame of the ghost?
Do you mean like because
they inhabited there?
They inhabit it because they liked that they're like, oh, hey, I'm notorious here.
Yeah,
I want to come hang out. It's very possible. Absolutely. I don't, ghost logic, I want to be where the people are who appreciate me and who say my name. It's a very Beetlejuice kind of thing.
Yep.
But so that's absolutely possible. And it would be kind of interesting to do a little bit of some kind of research, some kind of experiment on some of these locations with these notorious hauntings where the spirit that allegedly haunts here is, Jake Bird, Ted Bundy, whomever, and yet they didn't die there. That would be an interesting experiment to kind of look at and build, because I would be really curious what some of the answers would be.
Do you think items serial killers possessed could still hold their energy and create a haunting?
It's absolutely possible.
Mhm.
I think and you're getting a lot into, I mean, is this a serial killer who kept trophies? What kind of trophies did they keep, and what was the significance and meaning of the trophy? Um Part of me feels like, I don't know, like a lot of serial killers keep IDs. I have trouble envisioning a haunted ID, although occasionally my picture on an ID looks haunted. So maybe that's what's happening there.
Like, here's an example. I was gifted
Mm.
um, pencil crayons from California serial killer Herbert Mullen.
Mm.
And a couple of he used to create ruins with these pencil crayons in his prison cell before he died.
Oh.
So
Oh.
I know a macabre collector,
Mm-hmm.
and he gifted me 3 of his pencil crayons,
Mm.
and I think 2 or 3 of his ruins that he did in his prison cell. So he used those pencil crayons. So
Okay.
his time and energy, and he also, this one's even weirder. He gifted me a photo drawn by Dennis Rader, the BTK killer.
He wrote me.
Did he?
I
You
have a
win.
letter from him. It's weird. It's very
Yeah.
weird.
And like it's all, yeah, it's handwritten on the back, and it's got something he drew, like a flower, but on the front of it is
Ooh,
an actual picture of him in like a uniform.
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
What well, again, I think something like that, I mean, it sounds like he was trying to manifest some kind of energy into these items, and I think that absolutely, if you think about, and everyone has their own theories, ideas, whatever, about what makes a spirit, what makes a ghost, what kind of ghosts there are. I don't wanna get into that because that's personal. That's you believe what you want to
For sure.
believe. But I am very much of the belief of energy
Mhm.
and spirits, manifestations, all of that is that energy. So I think someone putting so much of a very specific type of energy into an object, yeah, that will absolutely leave something, attach something, and uh, what we think about as a haunted object, there is that more literal idea of like, I am the little ghost girl that lives in this Victorian doll, versus I've left a piece of my energy in this object, and you're gonna feel that no matter what, even if it's not, going to be tossing cups across the room or changing your TV at 3 a.m. It's leaving something there, and that will have an impact, that will have an effect.
Because the pencil crayons, I wanted to try the experiment we wanted to try when I investigated a serial. He collects serial killer memorabilia. I don't know what
Mhm.
else to call it,
No, no,
but
it's accurate, yeah.
we did automatic writing in an automatic writing planchette with one of the pencil crayons.
Oh.
We didn't get any communication, but it was something we tried with, because this guy used those all the time, and he was
Mhm.
thinking a bit of his energy would be in there. But yeah, it was just it's interesting, like all these objects. Like I was telling you earlier, we investigated the Vancouver Police Museum
Mhm.
this past weekend, and we investigated is the Carlsberg family. They're called. Basically, one of the sons drugged all of his family with
Mm.
sleeping pills and milkshakes.
Oh.
And once they were asleep, he took a double-sided axe
Oh,
and went to town. Like, that's what happened, is
yeah.
it's crime had happened.
Mhm.
But, that axe is on display at the museum,
Mm.
and it still has a little bit of hair on it, 'cause
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
in an exhibit. It's in an
Yeah.
exhibit, right?
Yeah.
And, it's their true crime section of the museum.
Mhm.
And items like that, I think, possess obviously a lot of energy based on
Mhm.
what it's been through.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just wanted your take on that, for how you feel about those type of objects, and paranormal wise?
I think that I mean the because it goes both ways too, right? You have haunted objects that like ancestral kind of hauntings of that are happier, more positive, or protective, or we put we can put a lot of different kind of energy into thing when something like an axe is used with that, because not only do you have the crime attached to it, the trauma attached to it, you have the experiences of the person using it and
Mhm.
those feelings. And I think that can be so impactful in how it can attach to something, because I think emotions and feelings can lead into all this, I'm not sure, I'm having trouble finding the right word I want. But yeah, absolutely. I also think there's something to be said about what an object like that has such a loaded history. You couldn't, I don't think, look at it and not have some kind of response. And I think
Yep.
there's something to be said about the energy people then leave with it, responding to it as an item. And I think
Mhm.
that's very real too, because I think we can give things more power almost by validating it or by witnessing it, by uh and that kind of keeps it alive and keeps it growing. I think that's what can happen in some haunted places is uh we keep that energy alive. It's why you have so many haunted hotels and prisons and places with all these people just constantly coming through.
You keep
Just
conducting it.
we keep conducting it.
Mm.
So I think the same could be said for an object that's being displayed, that's being observed and looked at, and people are having very, very strong emotional reactions to. Even listening to you talk about it, I was having an emotional reaction to it. And
Mm.
I think there's something to be looked at there and considered when you're thinking about things like haunted objects. Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
How can you
uh,
tell if an object is haunted?
I mean, the haunted doll I have likes to fling things across my room.
Oh, damn.
That's how I tell with her. She
Can we
gets a little
meet her
testy.
next half hour?
So I'm looking at her. She likes to be talked about, so her ears are probably perking up. She's more active in the wintertime, so if something's gonna happen, it's more likely to be happening around now. What's kind of funny, I think I'd mentioned this in our hotel group chat. Since I got back from the hotel, and I can't tell if it is my haunted doll or not, because she's never done anything like this before. But since I got back from the hotel, I have found I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not huge. There's only so many places somebody could hide in here. I used to have a cat, but she passed over the summer. So I don't have that excuse for why noise might be happening. I have been going into my bedroom in the evening, turning off the lights in the living room, getting ready for bed, and hearing what sounds like somebody moving around my living room.
Oh,
And I come out and I turn the light on and I look around. Are you over here? Are you over there by the refrigerator? Is it the refrigerator? No, there's nothing out here. I turn the lights off. I go back in the bedroom, and then I proceed to hear something moving around my living room again. And the other day, and this is one of those things again where I'm like, I can't tell if this is my brain being, I had been visiting my parents in Oregon, and my suitcase was still in my living room, even though I got back on Sunday, because I'm that person. And I'd gone to bed, and my suitcase, it was closed. It was closed. I had gotten something out of it and I closed it right there in my living room, saying, I will unpack this eventually. And I went to my bedroom, and again, I hear something, and then I heard, like, I swear it was like a little thump, and I was like, oh, come on, ghost, let me have a little bit of peace. And I walk back into my living room and I flip the light on, and my suitcase is open.
oh boy.
And I'm having that moment of like, did I actually close it? Am I doing that thing now where were you closed? And I'm asking Millie, was this you? Is this you? Or did something come back with me from the Palace Hotel? I don't know. Either is possible.
You are a traveler, a hitchhiker.
I might have a hitchhiker. They seem pretty cool. Mostly they're just like going through my stuff, which I don't know. I got cool stuff. I'm fine with that.
Fair.
Very cool stuff. Got great books, little tchotchkes. It's great.
That's interesting. Like I've been followed home a few times. I know, like when Dave and I were talking to Jake last night, he was followed home from an investigation up here, actually.
Oh.
And Dave, have you? Oh,
Hold that thought,
okay.
because you're going to go to break here momentarily on Spaced Out Radio. That was a quick first hour here on the big show. We got Merle, we got Kim Douthit, we got Spaced Out Radio coming up right now. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. Is this true, Merle? The dot says you follow the dot home one time.
No, I have to drive the dot home sometimes, though. If you want the real story.
The dot.
The dot.
All right, you guys want to just hang out, or do you want me to put you in the green room while we take a quick break?
I'm fine to chill.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm chilling.
All right, you
I'm
guys
good.
chat away.
Yeah.
You guys chat away. I'll be right back.
Oh,
Cool.
since we're on the YouTube audience, they can see
Ooh.
our camera.
Oh.
I'll show you my.
Would have cleaned up more if I'd known. Sorry, my apartment is messy.
The serial killer photos.
Oh yeah.
All right, YouTube. Get your little faces to the screen in a moment. So Herbert Mullen, he was the earthquake killer, essentially.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So for our audience, he lived in California, and he believed that he had to murder people in order for earthquakes to not happen in California. And I think he murdered about 10 people ish, between 5 and 10.
Chunk of people. Yeah.
Google him. He's a treat to look at. But here's one of those ruins made by Herbert Mullen.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like it's just cardboard.
Hmm.
And then these are two of the pencil crayons.
Oh, that's bonkers.
Yeah, I have I think another one somewhere that we used in the planchette thing.
Hmm.
And then the Dennis Rader one.
Oh yeah, he drew pictures on my note. I should grab it. He drew little pictures all around.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then his handwriting there, and on here.
Wow. Yeah. In the letter he wrote me, which was very weird. When I was still working at Spook, he sent it to Spook, so thankfully not directly to me.
Yeah.
But he was like, "I've had my people look into you." I was like, "I don't know what that means."
You know, is it flattering? I guess it is. If he's listening to your podcast, is that?
It was. I think it was he was one of the people on the list back when I first started doing the tea and true crime, which were which I still do, just not through Spooked. Where I give serial killer presentations, true crime presentations, and people drink tea. It's delightful.
Love it.
There was a handful of people being considered for our initial, like our kickoff one, and it was or he wasn't our kickoff because I think Ridgeway was our kickoff. But then we were looking at a handful of ones to do next, and like literally like a form letter, like, hey, you're alive and we might be talking about you. So if you got something to say, let us know. And was sent out via Spooked. And he sent it back directly to me. He sent back this like 4-page letter complete with drawings from his cell talking about how also like pimping out his daughter's book, being like, also, my daughter wrote a book. You should buy it. which I just remember being like, this is so weird. Like you're writing me this letter about how you were a changeling and that's why you did the things you did,
Oh
but
my
also
God.
oh, you wrote that in there. But also you have to make sure to do the sell for your daughter's book. Great, sir. Top notch. But yeah, no, he mentioned like I had my people look into you and it seems like you're legit. I was like, thank you.
Flattery.
I don't know if I feel about this. Okay.
Who are his people?
Yeah. His lawyer actually is who I think he had.
Fair.
But part of why he drew pictures of his cell is because that's where he spends most of his day. Is in his cell.
Living the
And he
dream.
answers letters, I guess. That's although he was telling me he was going to be going into retirement soon. So he wouldn't be responding to many letters. I was like, even in prison, you can retire.
Tell us you're a narcissist without. But my friend Taylor Cult Collectibles, who I got this stuff from,
Mm-hmm.
he we actually did a full investigation of his place. He had Dahmer's urn.
Oh wow.
And it still had like the bag in it, but like all of Dahmer's stuff was all gone. But yeah, he had that. He had silverware from the apartment.
Oh, that's intense.
He had a Bible from Dahmer's cell. He had a pair of the glasses. He has a ton of stuff from Bundy. He has stuff from Gacy. Like he has a lot of letters, and it's a big trip going to his place and just seeing everything. I thought my place was spooky, but dang, he wins.
Like that wins.
And same with Heaven's Gate. He has a bunch of books from Heaven's Gate. And
guys, hold on 1 second. We're coming back in 20 seconds.
Ooh, yep.
Thank you to Chill Farm ×2, Frankie ×2, Richard, Tim, Jake, and Mayhem for the super chats. Hello, Little Tara Spender. How are you? And Chris Jarvis, how you doing? And I think we're caught up on people. Jessica S. Here we go. Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hebdomalady. Oh, I totally said that wrong. Hebdomadally. There you go. Hebdomadally is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam. So it's the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We got our main man, Merle. He's brought Kim Douthit with us. She is a podcaster. GhoulishTendencies.com is her podcast. True crime and the paranormal. How do they mix? We're going to get to that here momentarily. Merle, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, Dave. What's the new name?
And Kim, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you. I'm having a blast.
The fact that there is so much to do with serial killers, which we were talking about just before the break, and their victims, you know, we tend to focus on a lot of the objects that these serial psychopaths have. Okay, but we never hear if any of these places are haunted by the victims. Have you guys, or Kim, I'll start with you on this one. Have you ever contacted or tried to contact any victims on the paranormal side of these killers?
One and something we try to focus on a lot on our podcast is talking about the victims because I often find most people could name 5 serial killers. most people cannot name the names of 5 people who were murdered by a serial killer. So it's something that sits pretty deeply for me. But that being said, it's I feel like when you're looking at the site of something where either a mass murder or a single evening or say like a big murder event, but you're more likely to hear stories about victims haunting than you are attached to individual serial killers. But something and I think it kind of plays back a little into that, like knowing the name. But you also have a lot of the victims are buried in places we don't necessarily know where. We may not have found bodies. So I do wonder if there's unnamed hauntings that are victims of murder. There's certainly lots of ghost stories. I mean, we have a lot of ghost stories in Seattle that are around the idea of people being murdered, and now their ghost is haunting the building, haunting the underground, haunting wherever. But most of those are robberies gone wrong, or actually usually robbery. That was kind of the main reason people used to get killed, I think, was money or drunkenness. And not so much serial killer victims, or at least not that get talked about. So I think that's a really interesting point. I'm trying to scan my brain right now to think if I've encountered any. I've done research into locations. I've never seen anything associated with the Gacy house, but then they bulldozed it. So you also run into that oftentimes if somebody was burying on the property and killing on the property gets destroyed a lot of the time out of respect for the victims, out of the fact that I wish I could say, because who would want to live in Gacy's house? But I know plenty of people who would want to live in Gacy's house, and they don't necessarily want those people living in John Wayne Gacy's house. So it's better to just knock the house over. It's funny because our episode that we're going to be recording shortly that comes out next week is going to be on a woman named Dorothea Puente, and she was a female serial killer, little old granny. Didn't start killing people. She was quite a bit older than we know of, and she buried her victims primarily on the property. And somebody bought the property back in 2010 is the last time it was sold. And in my research, one of the things that popped up is that the homeowners are convinced that her spirit might hang out there. They've talked about seeing some orbs. They've talked about some general haunting, but they've never talked about that specifically being a victim. And they've leaned into the house. They've got like a wax figure of her out on the porch. Because they're like, yep, we had a serial killer here. So it's it is kind of an interesting thing to consider. Why aren't there more victims that pop up, or is it just that we don't realize that's who they are because they remain nameless so often?
Last night with Jake, one of Canada's sickest serial killers, Willie Picton.
Oh,
Talking about that last night. And one of our listeners actually said that she actually had a friend who owns one of the houses that has been built on that property. Not into the paranormal, but says strange things that happen.
I bet.
And this, so the Pictons, prior to Willie getting arrested,
right,
sold half their land and developed it. Well, this is where a lot of the victims were put through a wood chipper and spread into those areas. So those areas of the construction literally are built on female body parts.
Yep.
As grotesque as that is.
Yeah.
And so with that happening, a lot of those houses, from what I'm hearing, are actually having paranormal activity. And like people just moving into that area, sure, they know about the case, but they may not know that they're actually buying on that property.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
completely different.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, and yeah, I think that's it. I think that there's probably a number of cases of hauntings that might be victims where someone just doesn't realize that's what is haunting them. If and especially if you think about, again, bodies that haven't been found and it might be on someone's property and they keep experiencing a haunting and they don't know that there are
Yeah.
people buried beneath them. Uh,
When we did our Killer Curiosity documentary,
mhm.
so this was when we were at Taylor's house.
Mm,
We had a whole, we were there 3 different times investigating a bunch of serial killers items, from personal items of Richard Ramirez to you
mm,
name it, we had it in our hand.
mhm.
Jonestown
Oh,
killer,
oh,
Jim Jones. We had stuff from Jim
mm,
Jones. But he
mhm,
has little toys and stuff from the actual
mm,
Jonestown.
oh,
Um, but when we were with, I think it was Jeffrey Dahmer's stuff,
mm,
we were doing the Estes method, and that's the sensory deprivation where you have the blindfold and the spirit box.
mhm.
And one thing that was important to me when we were investigating this stuff, because it's really heavy, number one, be respectful, and two,
Absolutely.
try and give the victims a soapbox if they want to come through and chat,
Yeah.
because it's not all about the killer. Like it's about the victim. And Jake just reminded me, when we were doing the Estes method, we had some names coming through that matched on the list, which
Hmm.
I found really interesting. And it's because we took the time to try and communicate with it. As morbid as it sounds, if we're doing the research, we want to accommodate, I would say, the victims
Yeah.
over the killer, out of respect, obviously.
Mhm. And for me, saying the names of the victims is important.
I like
It's
that.
an important thing to do, no matter if you're talking about it in an academic setting, if you're talking about it in an investigation setting, uh, it's validating their lives, and it's it's like I want to give them an identity outside of the fact that they're one more person on the list
Hmm.
of who was killed by Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
And it's man, one of the roughest episodes I think I've ever done. And I won't talk too much about him because it's a I I'm cold and dead inside. And I remember I got choked up talking about it. And the reason I did is that the man's name is Pedro Lopez. And if you want to ruin your life, look him up. It's rough. But he killed confirmed at least 100 people. And he operated out of South America, and part of it was a lot of poor people. It was a lot of indigenous people. So the authorities were like, eh. And I was trying really hard to get as complete a victim list as I could. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend a chunk of time, and we're just gonna sit down. And I'm gonna say everybody's name. I'm just gonna go through all their names. And I think I was able to find, it's like 7 names total. 100 confirmed, as many as 300 killed.
And 7 names.
7 names. And that was what got me, is that I was like, I hate that I can't say names. And thinking about it too, as a bringing it back to the paranormal as a spirit. If I can't even be recognized, if nobody even knows or remembers or cares that I existed and I was killed,
I'd be so
man,
angry.
I'd be
But
so angry.
and I understand that, but you know what? There is a professionalism that we have to account by,
Mhm.
because when you start naming names, now you become one of those clickbaiters
Mm,
on the internet that upsets a lot of people, number one. But number two, the family probably isn't healed and will never heal over this. And even though you got the names, I could see the family saying, can't you just leave us alone? We hate this part of our history, so there is that other side to it. So I can actually appreciate the fact that you're not naming the names that you've got, and I feel for the spirits, that you can't just go public and saying, hey, this is what Jane Doe told me about Ted Bundy and what happened there. I get that. But I think it's our job to be, lack of a better term, professional in what we do, if there is professionalism involved in this, to have a modicum of respect for those who we are dealing with. Like in our area, Merle knows the area I'm talking about. There's a plane crash, 52 people died, and it's coming up on the 60th anniversary. And it's still an open case here in Canada. It's Canada's largest unsolved mass murder because there was a bomb on board that plane. No, it wasn't terrorism. That's the fancy newfangled term the last 25 years. But it was something that happened. And we have got one name off that list. We have confirmed that name from the list that we got during a ghost tour. But we've never given out that name publicly because in our area, there are still people who lived during that time where their family members were killed in that plane crash. And it bothers them. So where do you find that balance, Kim, to try and stay professional, but you want to get that information out? I mean, you're in a real catch-22.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say, I think there's a lot of the context of the case matters a lot. The context of, am I researching this and doing this as part of an investigation, which is a different process than when I'm researching it for a podcast episode or for a presentation. Most of the cases I cover for my podcast, I actually lean a lot more towards older cases, stuff where there's a fair bit of distance between when it happened. Like I did the Cleveland torso murders. Those were a while ago. So I actually don't do as many more contemporary cases, partially out of respect for not wanting to drudge up things for families. When I'm able, I do look into family connections. For a few cases I've covered, I've reached out to families. Usually those are cases that are unsolved. And so you have families who very much want you to be talking about them and telling their story because they are still trying to get answers. And I think that can be the line for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, it's such a personal thing. And I try hard to be as respectful as possible. If I have information that families don't want something to be talked about, I will respect that, and I will not cover that case if I know. I've had some people reach out to me because they want me to cover the case because they want it to be talked about. So there's never one right answer. And I think if you are approaching it as much as possible with respect in mind and being open to adjusting, changing, whatever. I mean, obviously when there's children involved, I think that's a really different thing. I think again, there's a reason I will never cover on ghoulish tendencies. I will never cover Jeffrey Dahmer. I will never cover Ted Bundy. I got nothing left to say about that. What's there left to say about some of these cases other than to drudge them up? And I mean, Dahmer's a good example of where you've got family members who are just like, can you stop? We do not want this to be our entire narrative. Yeah. So I mean, I do the best I can, and I'm sure I get it wrong. But I do what I can. With an investigation, I approach things differently because I'm not usually sharing the information the same way. A lot of it is something I'm keeping as part of my research so I know how to approach things. But when it comes to actually sharing any evidence, sharing any of the stories, I'm a little bit more careful in how I give out that information, share that information, present that information. Yeah.
I can appreciate it. I could really appreciate doing that. We got about 5.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Ghosts of the Great White North with Merle and Kim Douthit, our special guest tonight from the Ghoulish Tendencies podcast. We're having fun with them tonight, talking about true crime, serial killers, and how it blends into the paranormal. Many people when they go into an investigation of these very popular subjects, rarely do get names.
Mm.
I would say you're a rarity, and many are rarities that you actually get names and have communication with the victims of
Mhm.
this type of tragedy. Here's my theory on that. I'm curious what both of you think. Kim, we'll start with you. I think a lot of times on the spiritual end, and I'll be honest, I'm a God guy. I am. But I think what happens, the reason why we don't get a lot of communication from these types of spirits isn't because they're scared, isn't because they are, shivering on the other end, wondering what kind of other trauma is going to come their way. But I think that maybe there's a spiritual entity out there that says, you've had enough,
Mm.
and it's time for you to just come enjoy this side
Yeah.
of the spiritual realm, whether it's heaven or whatever anybody believes in. I'm a heaven God guy. Okay. So I think that's the reason why we don't get a lot of that type of communication. Kim, what's your thoughts on something like that?
I actually really like that as an idea of just you've already been through one of the worst things that can probably ever happen. So we give you peace. You get some peace, and you don't have to be one of those people getting drudged up on a ghost hunting television show, being sensationalized and having it. No, and again, apologize for the sirens happening in the background right now. We joke on the podcast a little bit that of the two of us, Gabby is the Mulder and I'm the Scully, because I tend to be the more skeptical of the two of us. I tend to look a lot at the evidence I can find, the evidence I can look at and feel, and I like I like facts, but I know when I'm investigating that there's just you have feelings. There's feelings that happen. You feel energy, you feel connections, and you can't fact that. You can't evidence that. And I know there's times I've walked into places and felt horrible energy and horrible things and felt like horrible things happened here, and it's upsetting to think that there could be someone like trapped in that.
Mhm.
So no, you know what, I like that. I want to believe that the reason we don't hear more about the hauntings from victims of serial killers is because they've been through enough. They get some rest. I like it. I'm gonna stick to that. It's mine.
Merle, what's your thoughts?
I agree. Like I'm not overly a God guy. I'm more of a questioning type guy. Um, but I think perhaps when you don't hear from them, because hopefully they have found peace in the trauma that they've experienced, and they're gone to the other side where it's a lot better and there's happiness through what happened. And um I'm just saying that stuff in hopes for the victim's sake, right? um but that's kind of what I hope. That's a weird one. It's I'm just questioning things with that.
It
Go to
may
Joe
be
here.
interested to look into it more.
Yeah.
Go to Joe here, about a minute to go here, and he is asking, Kim, what is the funniest or most amusing incident you've had with a ghost or spirit? We got about 90 seconds.
Oh man. So unfortunately, the funniest one is one that's not an appropriate story to tell, so I can't tell it. But I did investigate a home of a woman who had recently had a baby and inherited a bunch of her great grandmother's stuff, and she started finding that chores kept getting done, and she thought it was her husband, and it wasn't her husband. And we're fairly positive it was the spirit of her great grandmother who would like take potatoes off the stove, and clothes would end up folded on her bed. It was the wildest thing I'd ever experienced in my life.
I'm summoning her now.
Right? I'm like, how can I get her to my house?
She can come to my house anytime.
Yep.
Hope she-
Anytime.
That's wild. That's wild that you experienced that.
Oh yeah, it was great. And when I investigated there, I was getting energy readings off the chart. It was bonkers. It died down after a while, so she was like, "Okay, I've done enough housework. You can clean your own dishes now. You've had a break."
Either way, man, I just get people wandering through my house. No, I don't get anybody just kind of hanging out and doing the laundry or doing the dishes.
The potatoes off the stove, like the stove was turned off. She was like, I remember because she even said to me, she's like, I was sure I heard my husband come home. I saw the potatoes off the stove. I thanked him and he was like, what are you talking about?
Goes to the Great White North, continues on Spaced Out Radio after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Dang, we're flying.
Oh, it's 10:30. Wow. What is time?
What is time?
Excuse me.
But I will be right back. I'm going to fill up my water.
Oh, yeah, actually, I'm going to do the same thing. That's cool.
You guys get to hang out with me now. All right.
I'm back, Dave.
Merle.
Merle.
Uh-huh.
Mitch Merler. That's a good one. Strong. Last half hour, where would you like to take it? You want to talk about Seattle and how scary it is?
Scary Seattle. I always love talking about scary Seattle.
Because you were a tour guide.
I was.
You know all the spots.
I know all the spots.
What else, Dave? Did your friend watch things?
What's that?
Did your friend watch things?
Not yet. I don't think he's got it yet. Let me check. Oh, he hasn't replied yet.
I love this little scrolly chat thing. It's so cool.
It is kind of cool.
It's really cool.
It is kind of cool. Merle wants to know who's coming to Vegas. You know, you could just say that rather than type it in, right?
I just feel like typing. I'm being Dave. You want me to be interactive in the chat? I type.
Fernando Chapa says, "Say something."
Something.
Something.
Say something, Merle. Damn it.
Merle's been talking lots this episode.
I can always tell when someone's new to our chat room and they come in during the break.
Like, why are they just looking at each other?
Talking about it. We are on a radio break right now, Fernando.
We'll all be talking soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Highgate Vampire. That's a fun one.
Dave, at the police museum, I investigated one of the autopsy tables in the overflow morgue where they kept the victims of Flight 20.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, really interesting. They have a whole write-up on it there. Yeah, pretty surreal. Because you and I being at the crash site and then like seeing that in person too, it's kind of like a double take.
Yeah, because they couldn't do anything here. They were literally storing, as gross as this sounds, they were literally storing bodies everywhere. Like even the cellar of the old police depot. That's where the majority of them went after they filled the funeral home.
Yep.
Splatter, how are you?
If anyone has any questions for us, the last half hour is the time to shine. That's for you, chat. I won't type it. I'll say it.
Chat.
It's time to shine. He's doing his old bobblehead there.
The old bobblehead. Time to shine.
Uh-huh.
I think old Merle's going to be doing a lot of catchphrases. It's going to be my new era of Spaced Out Radios. We're going to be all about the catchphrases.
All catchphrases all the time.
Yep.
There's no time for the inappropriate story, guys. You're not bringing it on the air.
No. I probably tell it in one of the podcast episodes, but there's over 100 of them. So, and I don't know which one.
Lil Cam, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you in. All right, we're coming back in a few seconds. Thank you to Chill Farm ×2, Frankie ×2, Tim, Richard, Jake, and Mayhem for the great super chats. Appreciate the support and love. We're coming back here in 3 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I wear a lot of tinfoil in my everyday life. You can too. Let's make it a fashion statement. Goes to the Great White North with Merle continues right in a moment. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We got our main man Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and our special guest tonight, Kim Douthit. Douthit. Great podcast called Ghoulish Tendencies. You can find it at ghoulishtendencies.com. Start off with a question from our good friend Lee in the UK. Good morning, Lee. Ghost hunting while pregnant. Is it a good idea?
Are you planning on naming your child Damien? In which case, it's a fabulous idea. Best idea you've ever had in your life.
I've been with people who have been very pregnant while ghost hunting. I think it's all about the intent in which you use to protect yourself and the aftercare of the haunt that you're investigating. I'd be apprehensive of a pregnant person investigating a more darker haunt, something where there's known attachments or like known things that'll be physical. But if it's just a run-of-the-mill communication style ghost hunt that could be a little low profile, then I think it's okay.
Yeah. Personal comfort level too. I mean, I think in general, certain types of ghost hunting shouldn't be done casually anyway. So if I wouldn't like casually decide to go into a place and be like, I'm going to try out for the first time some really hardcore ghost hunting. That sounds like great. My baby's almost due. Nothing will go wrong. But I think if you feel comfortable about it, if you go in and you're smart, I mean, like you would do anything, honestly, pregnant or not. I think those are the intentions you should go into it with.
I don't think I would want my partner ghost hunting while pregnant. I don't know. Maybe I'm superstitious. Maybe I'm a little bit freaked out that way. But I don't need the spawn of Satan all of a sudden, developing inside my growing child within the womb. And next thing you know, like brand new baby spitting out fireballs out of its eyeballs. You know, I don't need that.
Just tape a black onyx to the tummy and you're okay.
You're fine.
Oh, yes. There's a crystal for everything. Let me get a bridge in the middle of the desert that crosses water that you might want to buy. I'm sorry, I'm not crystal guy. Not
No.
crystal.
You're not crystal. I enjoy a good crystal.
Of course you do.
They're fun. I don't know what any of them mean, but somebody hands me a crystal, I'm like, this is pretty. Sure. I'll carry this. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even
We solved it.
Who like, what's wrong with crystals, Dave?
They're coming for you now.
Tell me
A
about it.
wave of them.
That's a tough group, the crystal people, man. I don't want to mess with them.
No.
As I say that, as I have crystals around my microphone.
Crystal. Of course. I love that so you know what though? I'm of the because like I have a few friends who are super into like witchy stuff, and they periodically hand me little bags and things. They're like, this is for your protection. Take it with you. Ghost hunting, but they're like, knowing you, just take it with you everywhere. It's just the best move for you. And I'm of the opinion of it's nothing's gonna harm it. Like, what's the harm of taking these things? Even if you're maybe a little skeptical, like, you know what? Somebody took the time to make because they wanted me to feel a little bit more safe. Cool. I will take this bag of crystals and tea and I don't know, the bones of your enemy, and then I will use it for my protection.
I'm for crystals. Like I've often carried a black onyx and a fire agate. I feel safe with those and a rose quartz. But I find when you're doing paranormal investigating, depending on your beliefs and the stones you have, because I've seen it firsthand, those act as a shield in a way of the investigation and communication. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Either sometimes you want to do the communication or you want to be protected. But for me, I'm all about the research, and I'll leave them at home. They're on my desk right here.
Well, I will say too, there's only been a handful of times I've been in places where I've genuinely felt extremely unsettled or extremely uncomfortable or unsafe, where I have that my lizard brain is responding to something saying, oh, something in here is really not right. And those are the times where I might be like, who's got a crystal? Who wants to share? Let me just hold it and clutch it in my hands so I feel a little bit better. Yeah, there's a time and a place for everything. I like that we've gone from like ghost hunting while pregnant to the great crystal debate.
They've started it.
It's true.
I totally did.
Dave.
No, I think for me, a lot of times, you know, like we have a couple spiritual stores in our town, and I love them. You know, I honestly I love magnets. Power magnets is incredible. Like if you have a sore joint or anything, you rub a magnet on there, and to me, it totally takes away the pain. I don't know if it does for anybody else, but for me, it works. So I just kind of run with it, right? But the one thing that I will notice is as people investigate their own spirituality and start to grow it, like it's like crystals, as much as I teased earlier about it, but I do believe a lot of them work. But it's like all of a sudden it's like crystals and tarot cards are like the level 1 of the spiritual growth level. And you have to have your lapis lazuli and your decatite and your hematite and your you know whatever. I'm making up names as we speak. And this one and this one. If you're having a cup of tea, always have it at 11 o'clock at your cup. You know, I mean, to me, I just think it gets foolish. It takes away from the real message of what a crystal can do to help.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I carry when I'm around, I'll be honest, even around my microphone, I have sodalite. And for me, sodalite, if I look at sodalite, it literally is for, like, I suffer from depression and anxiety. And when I'm feeling down, I roll it in my hands.
Mm.
Okay. Sodalite also helps out people who are left-handed, and it
Oh.
is for
Ooh.
helping with creative purpose. So if you're a writer, if you're a videographer, if you are a photographer or something along those lines, it helps you create. So that is kind of where, I do believe in some of them. I've used crystals. I've found that some of them actually work. Not every one will work for everybody, but I
Mhm.
think, the tarot card / crystal addiction, in my opinion, is like a level 1 of entering spirituality, that you have to spend all this money on rods and orbs and all sorts of things in order to get to that part where you want. And I think too many people fall into that offering that spirituality offers, when it's so much more vast. And to take a page from Merle when he's investigating paranormal, your body is the best conductor for everything spiritual. It's not a crystal, it's not a gem, it's not a tarot deck or tea leaves or anything. It's your body, your own intuition. But we always want something to help us and put our energy into that object, thinking that it's going to do more for us than anything else. And that's just not simply the case, from what I have learned.
Fair.
There's
Yeah.
I use crystals in my house, like in my windowsills. In each room I have a black onyx, a selenite, and a quartz crystal. I
Mm.
feel, just because of the amount of like paranormal investigating I do, or even with my work, the amount of negativity I see, I don't want to bring it home. My home is my sanctuary, and I I feel that stuff helps me. But like I said earlier, I tend to not bring that stuff on investigations anymore because um I don't know. I think it puts up too much of a block.
Mm.
When like Dave said, our body's the conductor, and at the end of the day, I think that's your best gauge of what's bad and things like that.
hmm Let's go to Derek's question. What is the best technique to summon ghostly or other entities?
Mm. I mean, I think it depends a lot on uh what kind of location you're at and what kind of spirit you're dealing with. Um but, I've had I feel like I've had a fair bit of success just in, like, honestly doing your good old EVP session and talking to it, but I also investigate a whole lot of theaters, and talking is kind of their jam. They're like, "Oh, somebody's listening. There's a microphone." Yes. So that's something I think is very specific to a lot of the places I get called into. I get called into a lot of theaters in the area because I now have something of a reputation for being the haunted theater girl. Uh, so it's that works really well there, but that's not a technique that's going to work well everywhere. I mean, I know even in our investigation at the hotel, we were trying some stuff and it just didn't seem nobody seemed to be biting.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah.
I think the best technique, that's a broad question. Like an example, when we were, like Kim was saying, when we were at the hotel, there was that we did kind of like a wine o'clock,
We did.
where where the ladies were, they had a couple drinks, but it was also just having casual talk,
Mhm.
trying to bring in the other lady spirits that inhabited the hotel, and a safe place to communicate. So while the investigators had a couple drinks and we're talking tea, we're telling all the good stuff. I was a fly on that wall. Um, we had all of our equipment set up. We had cameras, we had audio equipment, we had ghostly gear,
Mhm.
and it started to pop off.
Mhm.
So the best technique is to play the house.
Yeah.
Communication always, like, if you're in a mansion and they say the bedroom's haunted, go up to the bedroom, introduce yourself, number one, and then try and have a conversation with them. But before you even do that, go further and try and get their name and be personal. Instead of saying, you wanted us here, you got us, like TV people. Try and say, hi, Edna, this is Mike. I know you lived here. I would love to have a conversation with you. And I find just talking like that is the best technique, unless you want to use a Ouija board and have a seance, which is also pretty cool.
Less reliable, though. Depends who's the prankster in the group.
But no, to me, like Kim said, EVP's audio and just chatting is the best way to summon a ghost. Personally, that's how I've always done it.
Mm-hmm. I think too, like I remember a woman who had come to me very, very upset because she'd had a ghost. Has a ghost in her apartment, and from the get-go, it was really distressing her. And the ghost wasn't actually doing anything that was that out of the ordinary for your kind of good old-fashioned haunting. Sometimes things would move, a door would close, she'd hear some noises, but it really, really distressed her. So she brought somebody in to try to get rid of it. And then things got bad and really escalated. And that was the point she came to me and she was like, I need to get rid of it. And I was like, I think you're going about this a little bit the wrong way. Have you tried just talking to it? Talk to it. Introduce yourself. Tell it that you get freaked out when it does certain things. Because, you know, as far as it's probably concerned, you're the invader. You're the one coming into their space trying to get rid of it. So just have a conversation. Try that first before you do anything else. Apologize for trying to evict it. and see if you can broker some kind of peace or make some kind of contact. And she had some success with that. Things died down after she tried to kind of coexist with it. And then when her lease was up, she moved out. So it was good for her in all those ways. But I think to your point, like, just introduce yourself and talk. Explain why you're there. You know, you're in their space. And I think a lot of investigators don't always respect that for some of these ghosts, you're coming in and they're very well established. They've been there 100 years. Who are you? It's, you know,
just such a good way to look at it.
You're very right, though. Some people just they get so angry. They need that fix, and that they're going to be the guy or the lady who takes down that ghost and gets everything. And it's like it's a mission. I mean, Merle, I mean, you look at your scenario at the Bailey House where that idiotic paranormal group decided on their own to paint over a chalk drawing of an angel and devil.
Oh.
Yeah, in the basement.
And they didn't even get permission. This was in a museum, and they did not even get permission to do that. And that was one of the great mysteries of that house. Nobody knows who did it.
Nope.
Nobody knows who put it out there. It may have been a guest. It may have been a ghost. It may have been somebody from the past who lived there. But this paranormal team felt it was their duty to paint over that. And that's ridiculous. But some people they got to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? They got to be that team. You know, I mean, not to bring in Bigfoot in this, but the one thing I've learned about Bigfoot activity, you don't have to be chasing them down the trails. You could go investigate. You could go take a look. But for your best results on searching for Bigfoot, sit still.
Yeah.
Have a laugh. They're like cats. Their curiosity will come forward where they're going to say, what's that funny noise? What are they laughing at? What's the smell of that hot dog? I see that red vehicle here all the time. What is that person? What are they doing? You know, there's a curiosity factor. And I think at times, Kim and Merle, I think at times too many paranormal teams, they try too hard. They really do. They try too hard.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I also, I mean, I find this with some people I've worked with that get so focused on an end result, and I'm going in for one night and I have to get evidence and and something big has to happen. And Fact of the matter is, a lot of times nothing big happens.
No.
You know, you might get one EVP that you're straining to hear, or a couple weird readings. You might have a really good night and get a whole bunch of evidence. But if you're only focused on getting that sensational thing, I think you also miss out on the opportunity to be making some of those connections. And I don't know, as a tour guide, I used to go into Merchants Cafe a lot. It was part of the tour that I did. And Merchants Cafe is a restaurant in Seattle. It's been around since right after the Great Seattle Fire, built in 1890. Very, very old, very, very haunted. And I was a regular there because I was always in there with people, and I'd go in there and I'd have a drink sometimes after work or chat with the bartenders. And so I was a normal fixture. And I kind of developed a weird relationship with a couple of the spirits there as a result of just familiarity. And there was a few spots on the tour I was started to find that where there was I had a woman on the tour once who was sensitive. She was talking to me occasionally about what she was experiencing as we were walking from place to place. And there was one specific location we visit that used to be a bank. And there was a bank teller who was killed there. There's an EVP someone had caught at one point of the bank teller's name, which was supposed to be Edward. But what struck me is before I had started to tell any of the stories, the woman came up to me and she says, "I need to tell you something, and this is going to sound weird." And I was like, "I love weird. Bring the weird." She goes, "I'm sensitive. There's a man here, and you talk about him on your tour. And he wants you to know he likes your stories. He likes how you tell the story. He says his name is Edward." And the reaction I had to her telling me that prior to knowing anything about the EVPs, anything about the space, was I had a moment. But it really actually made me think about the fact that, like, I'm in these haunted spots all the time. I'm talking all the time. I'm talking about them all the time. And I hadn't fully thought about them listening to me talk about them. And that could impact things or how they responded to me. So that really kind of shaped my perspective of how I should be approaching it sometimes. And I think back to your point, Merle, like, cultivating a relationship, talking, just being a person of ghosts. Let's have a moment.
I find you need to be present in a paranormal investigation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And like, I've been guilty before, and I'm admitting it, where I want the evidence right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And I'll have the attention span of like an ant. but then I have to keep myself in check that I'm here for the research, and I'm here on the spirits' terms of if they want to talk to me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'll adjust my technique and tactic on how I'm trying to obtain evidence and communication. And I used to be pretty Wild Westy. I'd come in there and ask rapid fire questions, but we've all done it. We've all learned.
Yeah.
And now I'm more slow, and I find I get a lot more evidence now than I used to, because also the way we talk, the way we look, the way we present ourselves is a heck of a lot different than the 1800s, 1950s, 30s. We sound lazy compared to them. We probably sound offensive towards them, like how we talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to dial it down and cater to the era. That's what I like to say. You cater to the era of the spirits you're trying to communicate with.
It's the old big question that people always ask: how did you die? Can you tell us how you died?
Are you here?
I feel like I might be. I don't know how I'd want somebody. Sometimes I think about questions and I'm like, how would I feel if someone asked me this? Like, really, how would I feel? And sometimes I'm like, I'd be fine with this. But I'm also a strange person. I'd be fine with a lot of things the average person probably wouldn't want to have asked of them. Is tell me your most painful moment, the last moment you spent on this planet. Tell us more. Elaborate. Can you elaborate on this? Give me as many details as possible.
Oh man.
Can you knock on the wall? You hear a thump. I don't think that was them. Knock again.
So, what do you want from me?
Those are the ghosts.
And on that note, we got to wrap this up and say thank you to Merle from Ghosts of the Great White North. Merle, we will talk to you next month. Kimberly Douthit, it was a pleasure meeting you. You were amazing. And let's give a shout out to her podcast, ghoulishtendencies.com. You can find the website, ghoulishtendencies.com. Swamp Dweller and little Timmy James coming up with the UFO report right after this. Stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Merle.
Why am I? Oh, there we are. I was wondering what you're. Oh, you wanted me to see the name. That was your little ruse there, wasn't it?
That was my ruse.
Do you like how I use that word? I brought it out.
I saved it for the end.
Mhm.
Yep. All Team Canada right there, buddy.
Go JT Miller.
No.
Go hockey.
There you go. Be
Go
neutral.
hockey.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Merle, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Copy that. Good night. Thank you, Kim. That was awesome.
Thank
Come on
you.
the
I had a
show.
blast.
Come on
I'm
the
back
show.
on one day.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, guys. Take care.
Night.
Good night. Perfect. There we go. We'll be right back, guys. let's get set up. Jamie McGahee, how you doing? Long time. All right. It's a good show with Merle.
Very good show with Merle. And Kim.
Kim was great. Kim was great. All right. Let's get ready to go here. Thank you tonight to Chill Farm ×2, Frankie ×2, Mayhem, Jake, Tim, and Richard for the great super chats. We really appreciate the love and support. If you're new here or listening in for the first time, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. We got like 10 seconds. I don't know what to do for 10 seconds. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Swamp Dweller and Little Titty James coming up with the UFO report. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hebdomadally. Hebdomadally is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. So I have submitted 3 stories to you, and you have graciously read 2 of them on your channel. My name is Evan, and the 2 stories you read were about cryptids, and so is this story. The difference is that this story is from my mom's point of view. As I stated in the last 2 stories, I live in rural Maryland, but my mom grew up in the mountains of Tennessee. Her father was an avid hunter and cared for his family very well. They lived on a large section of woodland near a dirt road, in a log A-frame home. Her father worked at car auctions and was often gone for weeks at a time on road trips with his team. This led to my mother Lisa becoming a very accustomed person to exploring the woods with her sister. Her mom took care of the property, but also worked at a local restaurant 4 days out of the week. Again, this left my mom and her sister with the task of occupying themselves. My mom loved the outdoors and the woods surrounding her home. It was perfect for exploring. Her father whittled a small wooden slingshot for her, and she would spend all day shooting pebbles at the creek and climbing small trees. Now, this encounter took place when my mom was 9, in July of the year 1979. My grandma had taken my mom's sister to the doctor because she had sprained her ankle the day prior and was having trouble walking. My mom decided, like most days, that she would do some deep woods exploring. She grabbed her slingshot and set out. Her mom called after her to not be too late for dinner. The sun was already getting low in the sky, and the thick trees didn't help this matter. My mom wasn't scared of the dark. She ran through the brambles, singing and stopping every once in a while to shoot her slingshot. She eventually got to the creek and sat down on the soft bank to refill her pebble supply. As she was picking up pebbles, she heard a noise. Whenever she retells this to me or any sibling, she always says, "It's like the crickets lost their voice and the birds had no more songs to sing." The forest was utterly silent, as she recalled, and she didn't realize why at first. She got up from the creek bank, standing across the creek on the other side of the bank, is what she called a big hairy man. She wasn't familiar with the stories about Bigfoot, but she knew this was no human. It looked at her and she said it felt like it was staring right through her soul. Then it let out a massive, guttural call that she felt in her chest. She tried to cry, being a little girl in the deep woods with a Bigfoot in front of her. As if the thing realized it scared her, it stood up to its full height and she realized it was only kneeling. She said it must have been 6 feet tall while on its knees, but around 9 feet standing up. As my mom turned to run, she heard it let out another call, even louder than the first one. My mom got back to the house in record speed, and her clothes were torn and her legs were bloody from tripping twice. When my grandma asked why and what had happened, she said she fell from a tree. I don't think she thought my grandma would believe her. She never told this story until maybe about 5 years ago. I was shocked but believed her because my mom is no liar. So, that's her story. I appreciate you sharing my stories I've sent you, and I hope you can share this one as well. I hope you're doing well during this crazy time, and be safe out there, folks, because there are some things that we just can't explain in life.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. He's got thousands of stories right there free for you to listen to. Time for the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, little Timmy James is here with the UFO report. And been an interesting few days. I mean, not a lot of government stuff coming out.
No.
But it's getting interesting. Before we get to that, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing really good. And you?
I am good.
Good.
Besides this stupid sciatic nerve.
Yeah, I'm watching you dance around in that chair all night. I feel sorry for you.
Oh, man. It's not fun.
No, I can imagine.
No.
No.
You know, and for those who have had sciatica before,
Mhm.
it really, really sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, from your hip all the way down to like your knee and ankle.
No.
And you just cannot get comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, man alive. Like, I know I'm old, but I'm not that old yet.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry you're going through that.
Oh, man. Just trying to get comfortable. I mean,
it ain't going to work, right?
No, there is nothing that you can do. Nothing that you can do. At least I'm still pretty.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a matter of opinion, but okay. Yeah.
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 I'm taking it as I am.
Okay.
You know, I'm taking it as I am. You know, but that's just, it is what it is.
Yep. I get it. I get it.
I've had that since, remember when I had my injury hunting?
Yep.
I've had it since then. And it was all because when I injured my groin muscle and popped my hip out.
Yep.
And then it popped it back in. That was fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was real fun. Dislocating the hip and popping it back in. That was loads of fun.
Barrel of monkeys.
Barrel of monkeys, yes. Your body compensates.
Of course.
And my body hasn't stopped compensating yet.
Oh.
Even though my left side feels great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, like, let it go already. The injury is over.
Build a bridge. Come on. Let's get over this.
Right? Build a bridge. My goodness. My goodness. Oh, we're working on it, though.
Yeah, well, that's all you can do.
We're working on it. All right. UFO report time. I got something for you here.
Yeah.
My good friend Nicole Sackage sent this to me.
Who?
Nicole Sackage.
Who's Nicole?
Yeah, one of the great UFO researchers.
She's awesome.
Yes.
Love Nicole.
Now, this came off of LinkedIn.
Okay.
Gentleman by the name of Jeff Cruikshank, don't know him, never heard of him before, says, it is now obvious that the recovered non-human remains from the Bluegill Triple Prime UFO shootdown were removed from Johnson Island by the U.S. Navy and taken to the New Mexico AEC headquarters, and which aerospace giant still has custody. Little wonder President John F. Kennedy visited SAC headquarters Los Alamos, and Sandia National Laboratories only a few weeks after the event. Thank you to the late Dr. Harold Malmgren. We know now the truth.
Wow.
Now, if you read about Sandia National Laboratories, it's a multi-program laboratory managed and operated by Sandia Corporation, a wholly owned subsidiary of Lockheed Martin Corporation. For the U.S. Department of Energy's National Nuclear Security Administration. Yeah. So Dr. Harold Malmgren passed away a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Okay, less than that, I believe. And I actually tried to get him on the show. And basically he said due to his health, he could not. And obviously that was a few months ago. And obviously, sadly, he passed away. But he was very high up in the government rankings, like working with presidents.
Right.
And this was a gentleman who was in the know if somebody would be in the know. And unfortunately, he came to the party too late.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean that to sound disrespectful. No. And God bless him on his next journey and everything like that. But apparently, I think there's a few more of these tidbits that are going to be coming out soon about Dr. Malmgren, because in his last year or so in life, he really started tweeting about the UFOs and what they are. And he was a complete believer in that. So I think it's funny. And I learned something from this post because I'd always heard of the Sandia Labs.
Yeah.
In Los Alamos. I never knew that they were a subsidiary of Lockheed Martin.
No, not a clue.
So that's a little interesting. And I think it opens the door to another case where there's potential evidence.
For sure. Well, it'd be interesting too, because I mean, people like that, in my experience, usually have a protege or somebody that they entrust with the information when they get to that point. It'd be interesting. Like I see where you're going with this. I'm just wondering too if there's somebody that's holding the key to the chest, so to speak, and can start maybe revealing some of this information. That's interesting. That I'd have to wait and see how that turns out. But yeah, I'm sure some more will come out about that, because like you say, if he's that, well, obviously that much of a believer and that hardcore into it, usually 9 times out of 10, they don't pass without passing on that information to somebody, I would suspect.
Very interesting. I wonder if there's going to be any traction from that. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Well, they've named Team Disclosure.
Oh,
yes.
Well, fill us in on this.
I will do. So the task force for exposing federal secrets, such as UFOs, the JFK assassination, Epstein, and all of that, they've named their team. So more than half of the GOP, Grand Old Party members, are in the House Freedom Caucus. So 7 House Republicans have been named to the new task force dedicated to weighing the declassification of some of the U.S.'s most infamous secrets. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, as expected, will lead the explosive panel, formerly known as the Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. It will operate under the House Oversight Committee and its chairman, Representative James Comer, as we know. The list, though short, signals House GOP leaders are letting the conference's conservative wing take the wheel on this investigation. In addition to Luna, the task force will also include members of other rebellious House Freedom Caucus, such as Representatives Lauren Boebert, Eli Crane, or Ellie Crane, or whatever, Eric Burlinson. Also on the panel is Nancy Mace, which we all know from the hearings last November, who has made headlines as on several culture war issues over the last year. And of course, Representative Tim Burchett will be there, who frequently collaborates with the Luna on issues relating to UFOs. He's on the panel, as well as first-term Representative Brandon Gill out of Texas. So Mace wrote today on X, "Bad day to be classified or be a classified government secret." Burleson wrote on a site, "A government cloaked in secrecy has been a tool for control." So Luna pledged to seek truth and transparency in a written statement announcing the task force last week. She pledged to give Americans the answer they deserve on the assassinations of JFK, Dr. Martin Luther King, the Epstein files, COVID-19, UFOs, and September 11th, so on and so forth. Luna said, when announcing this list of members, "We have assembled a team of dedicated leaders who have consistently fought for transparency and full disclosure. Our mission is simple: to ensure these documents are released swiftly and in their entirety, giving the American people the truth they deserve." Comer said of the list, "Ensuring government transparency for the American people is a core mission of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. The Republicans on Luna's task force are steadfast champions of transparency, and I'm confident they will vigorously pursue and deliver the truth on critical issues," Comer said. So, small team, all Republicans, and yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
There's a couple things that I want to mention about this.
Yeah.
We know they're starting with JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
People have been waiting a long time to figure out what that is.
Agreed. Yeah.
My question is, how long until they get to UFOs?
Forever.
And I wonder about that.
No, me too. Me too. The big, how would you say, the underlying scuttlebutt, we don't use that word, scuttlebutt. The scuttlebutt on that is I think we spoke about it beginning of the week or last week, was I had suggested that I'm wondering the same thing. And I'm wondering if they're going to just drag out as much as they possibly can before they get to the UFO thing. So the undertone and comments that I've been seeing a lot of is a lot of the people in the UFO community are saying the same thing. They're going to drag out what they can. And again, JFK, super important. Martin Luther King, super important. I get it. But they're going to drag those out, and they're going to keep pushing the UFO thing to the background. So that's the consensus, and that's what people are speculating. Obviously, nobody's inside secrets or anything, but yeah, I'm wondering the same thing, and I think obviously a lot of other people out there are along the same wavelength. So I hope not. I really hope not, because I mean, no offense, I'm not trying to belittle anything or whatever, but I really don't care who was on the Jeffrey Epstein list. I really, at this point in time, right, it needs to be looked at, but yeah,
I do.
Yeah, well, I know, but
I care.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why I care. I'm just curious.
Well,
because there's a lot of scumbaggery in there.
Yeah.
And I just think it's something that needs to come out.
You're right. There is a lot of scumbaggery involved in that. And it is deplorable if this is, obviously this has all happened. Don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning it in any way, but it almost feels like I'm waiting for a TMZ report. It really does with him. I don't know why. That's just my brain. It's like, are they really going to open this up? And what are they going to do? What are they going to do about that as well? Who knows?
I will say this, though. I am more interested in the Diddy list.
I got to say, I'm pretty curious too. I'm a bunch of freaks, man. I'm just,
literally
my opinion, not just innocent until proven guilty.
Yes,
but they're freaks. If they are,
tell me about it. Tell me about it. But you know what? Here's the big key. Okay. Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert and Anna Paulina Luna
Yeah,
were very vocal after the last UFO hearing
for sure.
about how disappointed they were in the panel. And I
Mhm.
believe it was Mace who tweeted out shortly after, a day after, saying, "We want answers. We're not here to promote books."
That's right.
That was a direct shot at Lou Elizondo.
Yeah.
Direct shot. And they need to keep up that pressure, because so far, outside, in my opinion, outside of
Mhm.
David Grush,
Yeah.
these hearings have been worthless. They've been
Yeah.
useless. They have not provided any information that we need. I mean, Mike Gold, who is there for NASA,
I can't believe I'm here.
I mean, when you're sitting there in a hearing and the only thing that you could say is, please fund us. Please fund us.
Yes.
Dude, what are you there for? You brought nothing to the table
Mhm.
to talk about NASA and what they know, what they've hidden,
Right.
and what they're lying about.
Yeah.
So it's embarrassing what we've seen so far. And
Yeah.
and so the question is, what kind of disclosure are they going to provide? I'm not worried about JFK or any of the other subjects. Let's concentrate on what we talk about
That's
here
right. Yeah.
with UFOs.
Yeah.
What kind of disclosure and transparency are we going to get? Because we've heard a lot about transparency,
Mhm.
but have seen nothing.
Right.
And everything is, well, we could talk in a skiff.
Yeah.
We could talk in a skiff. You know, everything is about the skiff. I don't have access to the skiff. You don't have access to the skiff.
Nope.
The American public who is paying for this does not have access to the skiff.
Correct.
Skiffs are not transparent.
Not at all.
So why do you get to know Tim Burchett or Anna Paulina Luna or Nancy Mace, and the American public doesn't? What makes you more important on that? Now, on the flip side, I will say, you know, because I try and balance things out,
Yeah.
it's a step in the right direction. But the question is, how much are they going to release to us? And are they going to be allowed? Because they can talk tough,
Mhm.
but in the end, those top secret clearances and national security will always weigh more than transparency.
Yeah, you're I agree. And I think Science Bob said it the last time he was on, is when and if that was the case and they disclosed and opened stuff up that, you know, has been classified, and what now you're giving the green light to all those people that have been keeping their mouths shut. The floodgates are just going to scream open, right? Because they don't have to keep it quiet anymore. You've disclosed it. Okay, well, you're talking about it. Yeah, I was part of that program, and this also happened. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and I'm again always trying to stay optimistic, but it's so tough. It is so tough. I'm hoping that everything goes good, and who knows what they're going to show? Who knows what they're going to come out with? Just confirm what we already know. You know,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that is what we need to watch out for.
Mhm.
You know, because I want transparency, and I want to believe that they want to bring this out.
Yeah.
But the question is, what disclosure are they bringing out?
Yeah.
Are they bringing out UFO disclosure? Are they bringing out UAP disclosure?
Mm.
Are they following the threat narrative that is popular? What are they doing? And that's just one of the big things that we need to know.
Yeah.
And we as a media have to be prepared to call them out if they are going upon one narrative. Now, some of the questions that were asked to the panel, you know, regarding everything from hybridization to ETs being here and ET contact summoning and psionics was brought up.
Yep.
Okay. Those are topics that need to be studied.
Yes.
And you need to bring people other than Stephen Greer or anybody, we'll get into that in a moment, about that topic. So we're going to get more into the UFO report. Little Timmy James is here hanging on out with us. Hope you're enjoying the show. We got 1.5 hour left.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear. I'm just having to do something.
Yeah, no, whatever. I gotta find that.
All right, there we go. Tim, check Dave for a pulse. Thomas Rock, how you doing? Apparently, I'm not breathing. All I'm hearing is ring.
Yeah.
You got tinnitus too?
Oh, I've had it for years.
Oh my gosh.
And actually today it's okay. What was it, earlier in the week? It felt like my head was like, you know, when you get water in your ears
Oh, I
and,
hate
you
that.
get a boom, boom, boom.
I
Yeah.
hate that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel after hearing any Joni Mitchell song.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hey, I thought you said your favorite song was Big Yellow Taxi.
No. I've never puked to a song before, but I think I could puke to that one. And it doesn't matter who sings the version.
Yeah.
The Counting Crows horrible version or the original horrible version.
Yeah. Joni.
Oh, it's horrible.
Trying to find that grok thing. I saw it and I don't know where it is. Oh well.
I kind of need that one.
I'm trying to find it.
Didn't you write it down?
Not that one. I had more different stuffs.
Well, that one's kind of important.
Well,
I'm
okay.
going to kick you in the shins.
Don't. Okay. Normally, I remember who the person is that wrote about it, but now I. Yeah, this is the smartest AI. This is the best AI. Super intelligent approaches. Blah, blah, blah. Where is it? Did you write it down? Grand Theft Auto, whatever.
Trying to find it right now. You.
Well, everybody's using it apparently because it's all over the frickin' map. Ooh.
Yeah, do you think I can find it now?
Well, no, because there's like 2 million. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Oh, I found it.
I got it here too.
Ha! By, was it Eric Burlinson? Oh, that's the guy we were just talking about.
Oh, you found it?
Yep.
I did not find it. I thought I had it. It was a different one.
Well, the whistleblowers.
Yeah, that's the one we want.
Yep, got her.
Good.
Oh, I can Reader's Digest this because this could be. Yeah, cool. All right.
I'll read it out. I got it here. Bigger screen.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. Show off. Dave will read it out.
I'll read it out. I'll save you the time.
Thanks, buddy. You're the best.
I'm that guy.
You are.
I'm the guy who's hurting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There we go. Like a few seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going to continue with the UFO report with our good friend James coming up here momentarily. But first, want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Little Timmy James is here, UFO report, hanging on out. And apparently, one politician went to Grok to find out about whistleblowers.
Yeah. Eric Burlinson.
What happened there?
Okay. So, based on public statements, which of the following whistleblowers? This is the question that he asked Grok on X, this AI, and I'm not really into it. So which of the following whistleblowers is most reliable and trustworthy? Generate a list in order and percentage of reliability next to each name. So, David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Jake Barber, and Stephen Greer. So the answer was assessing the reliability and trustworthiness of whistleblowers like Grush, Elizondo, Barber, and Greer, based on their public statements, is inherently subjective, as it depends on the quality of evidence they provide, their consistency, their backgrounds, and how their claims hold up under scrutiny. Since I don't have access to definitive proof, I'll evaluate them based on publicly available information up to February of 2025. Considering factors such as credentials, specificity of claims, corroboration by others, and any red flags like inconsistencies or lack of evidence, percentages are estimates reflecting relative confidence, not absolute truth, and I'll explain my reasonings for each. So, ranked list of reliability and trustworthiness. Number 1, David Grush at 75%. Grush, and the reasoning for that, Grush is a former U.S. Air Force officer and intelligence official, has made bold claims about secret U.S. government programs involving UAP crash retrievals and non-human biologics. His testimony before Congress was under oath, which adds a layer of legal accountability. He leverages his high-level position at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and National Reconnaissance Office, as well as his role with the UAP task force to bolster his credibility. Next, Lou Elizondo.
Well, let's get to the strengths and weaknesses first.
Okay. Professional. His strengths, professional background, congressional testimony, consistency. His weakness, no firsthand evidence, reliance on hearsay, and personal history scrutiny. All right. Lou Elizondo, 70%. Strengths, direct Pentagon experience, released videos, detailed accounts. His weakness, no hard evidence, some esoteric claims, and counterintelligence ties. Number 3, Jake Barber, 60%. Strengths, firsthand experience, veteran corroboration, specific descriptions. Weakness, limited public scrutiny, no physical evidence, recent emergence. And number 4, Dr. Stephen Greer. Strengths, longevity, volume of testimonies, advocacy and passion. Weakness, no evidence, documented deception, and sensationalism.
I love that. I do. I'm not going to lie. I do. Here's the reasoning, and I have to read this about Stephen Greer.
Yep.
A ufologist and founder of the Disclosure Project claims to have interviewed nearly 1,000 insiders about extraterrestrial technology and secret programs. His long history in the field and large whistleblower network sounds impressive, but his credibility suffers from a lack of tangible evidence, a flair for sensationalism, example, CE5 protocols to contact aliens, and past accusations of faking UFO sightings during paid retreats. His narrative often diverges into conspiracy territory. Example, all UAPs are man-made, which is, I agree with that.
Yeah.
UAPs are man-made objects.
Yeah.
Or media is universally deceptive. I don't disagree with that.
Mhm.
Nobody who doesn't understand the media would think that, but the media doesn't care about this story. And knowing in media that news directors get fired really quickly if they bring up topics that don't make sense, they are all about the feels. They are not about the news anymore. It's all about feelings now.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's what infotainment has done.
Gotcha.
Okay. Clashing with more grounded claims from others. While he's influential, his reliability is undermined by inconsistencies and a profit-driven persona.
What?
Now, let's remember, this isn't Wikipedia where people can go in there and edit.
Yes, exactly.
This is Grok AI scouring the internet and within seconds coming up with this wordage. And I love it. I do. Now, Jake Barber, I think, is too new.
Yes.
That's why he's rated third at 60%. What's your thoughts?
I'm thinking that's it too. I love the Greer thing. You know how I feel about him. I'm not going there, but yeah, I love that. And I love that artificial intelligence called him out. Grush, okay. I think he was the first one up the bat, so I can understand how that would be picked out. Elizondo, self-explanatory. And Barber, well, yeah, too new to the game, or whatever, to the scene, I should say. And yeah, I don't know, questionable some of the stuff that I'm still don't have answers for in my head about what's going on with him, so, and his group. So I can see that too. I would say pretty bang on with its decision, in my opinion, but a lot of people may not agree.
No, and it is going to be a continual debate here. But like I said, I like the fact that it's not humans trying to misrepresent.
Yes.
Like Wikipedia has become a cesspool of hatred and information. We did a show on that, a number of months ago regarding these fake accounts that are going in there and editing Wikipedia to their liking, and then they're blocking people. Or let's say, Tim likes dogs on his Wikipedia page. They would go in there and change that to Tim doesn't like small dogs.
Yeah, right.
Even though you have a small dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But
exactly.
they would manipulate the system through editing.
Yeah.
And we don't see that with Grok, as far as we know,
for sure,
as of right now. But I mean, Elizondo, he's got a lot to reprove himself. The ULP incident was not positive. He's taking and I don't understand this one. He's taking a lot of criticism for going on his book tour. I don't think he needs criticism from that.
No,
I really don't. Okay. I think that's his prerogative. That's how him and the company, when you get a book deal, they give you an advance.
Yes.
So they're saying, hey man, Tim, you got a great story. We think it's going to sell this many copies. We're going to give you an advance of, let's say, $100,000. I'm just making up a figure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if your book doesn't make that back, you got to give portions of that money back.
Yeah.
Because it's an advance.
Yes, of course.
Okay. And, the book tour is something that is helping him make that happen. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think that's grifting, as many in the UFO community would state.
Agreed. Yeah.
Many book people do, or book authors do tours
Sure.
to sign autographs at bookstores or whatever. So I don't take that as grifting.
No.
And let's face it, people will pay anything if they find a necessity to see it.
Yeah.
We blow $20 bills like they were pennies at a candy store back when we were kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. We will blow those $20 bills, even $100 bills, if we feel the need for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have no problem with him doing that whatsoever.
No.
But the intelligence aspect, the fact that, I think his online savvy has been a little suspect.
Yeah.
Especially where there are accusations of Elizondo having a team of his supporters who will go around doxing people, allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And allegedly attacking others online.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that does him very well. Add to the fact that he was caught using sock puppet accounts as well.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, he's one of the faces.
Yeah.
He's
100%.
brought, let's look at the positive here for a second.
Yep.
He's brought the main picture of ufology to the public, the mainstream public. Nobody else was getting on CNN, Fox News, NBC, ABC, CBS. He was. And this is prior to his book.
Yeah, for sure.
Prior to it. He has played, whether you like him or not, he has played a crucial role in getting that information out to the public, and that needs to be commended, whether you like him or not.
Yeah, agreed. And he does support it. I mean, I've seen him turn the other cheek, so to speak, and he does give credit where credit is due. The other thing I noticed too is that everybody's saying that he's lying. I think that he's contradicted himself a few times, but I mean, it happens. I mean, and it's taken out of context. You put the in front of this. I get it. I don't think he's lying about stuff. I just think that every once in a while, like any of us, I think our stories get screwed up sometimes, right? But that's just me. So yeah, he's moving it forward. He's always been positive. He's never been a jerk. I even saw when he did the clip with you that we put out when he said, when he was talking about Greer, right? I don't deal with terrorists. He even answered that in a classy way, because that went a little viral last week, right?
So, it's been going viral for a while.
Yeah, but well, I saw it everywhere last week, and he was answering to it. And he says, "Well, no, this is what I said, and I didn't."
You know what? If you go back to that clip, and remember, we're the one who asked him the question.
Yeah.
Okay. If you go back to that clip where he said, "I don't deal with terrorists," he said it jokingly.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet everybody is making it out that, oh my God, he called Dr. Stephen Greer a terrorist. Stop using the little sentence.
That's right.
Use the paragraph, people.
That's right.
We're not looking for aha, caught you moments.
No.
And that's exactly what the UFO community did to him on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, if we can't have a sense of humor about things, and we're going to keep doing these aha, caught you moments, we are never going to move the ball forward.
Exactly.
Okay. So we need to grow up as a field.
Yep.
We need to grow up and actually use the intelligence that we have in our brains rather than swinging for the fences on an aha, caught you moment.
Totally couldn't have said it better. You're right.
So I want to get to Grush here for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Where is he?
Well, according to some pictures, he's at a retreat with Jake, but I don't think it's him either. I don't know. I don't know where he's been. He's laying low. Don't know what's going on.
When you make extraordinary claims,
Mm-hmm.
you just don't back them up on your buddy's YouTube channel.
Right.
Okay. There are a lot of people, and this is my complaint about these whistleblowers and whatever narrative is being spun behind the scenes that we haven't caught on to yet.
Yeah.
There are thousands of people tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Never mind just witnessing a UFO,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but have had extraordinary experiences.
Sure.
They never asked for it. They never wanted it. They didn't say, hey, aliens, come get me.
No, exactly.
And this guy comes out with these incredible stories. And I'll be honest with you, I believe him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know there's a lot of people who don't care. My opinion
Yes, of course.
is that he's telling the truth on the crash retrievals and the non-human intelligence.
Mhm.
But then you vanish. It's like, you get those certain bands where they come out, they have one great song, and then they are gone within a couple months.
Yeah.
And you never hear from them again.
Mm-hmm.
Tapow, Heart and Soul.
Yeah.
Good one
right.
from the 80s. What
Yeah,
happened to them?
Don't know.
Right? Autograph, Turn Up the Radio.
Well, yeah. He's still around.
Well, but the point that I'm getting at is,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people may not agree with me, when you step into this field, you don't owe anybody anything,
Yeah.
but have the respect for the people who are supporting you to talk to them. That's one thing I will say about Elizondo.
Mm-hmm.
When Elizondo left the To the Stars Academy, he knew that Tom DeLonge and crew had made a major mistake in taking advantage of the UFO community because they wanted the money to buy the TTSA shares,
Right.
but they weren't going to do anything to support the TTSA community. And if you looked at them, they built their own little media clique
Mhm.
on who they would do interviews with, and none of them were radio shows,
Yeah.
except George Knapp and Coast to Coast AM, because George was clicked in. I mean,
Yeah.
he's that good.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So I don't mind that. But Elizondo, when he left TTSA, said one of the biggest mistakes the To the Stars Academy made was they did not get behind or understand the power of the UFO community and the support, both financial
Mm-hmm.
and online social media support that they had, and they blew it.
Yeah.
Okay. That was Tom's rock star ego coming out because of that. Okay. You got to know when to rock star and when not to rock star.
Yeah.
And Tom tried to rock star this
Mm-hmm.
and didn't work for him.
Yeah, for sure.
But you look at Grush. So, pardon me, Elizondo goes on a bunch of podcasts and he disappears while he's writing his book.
Yeah.
Why not?
Sure.
Okay. Then he comes out of that and he does a bunch of mainstream news, screws a bunch of the UFO community. Not his fault.
Yeah.
But it was the fault of his PR company
Sure.
who pulled a TTSA. Now he's trying to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us, like us, have declined interviews with him.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's not about the book anymore. It's
No.
over.
Yeah.
The book is over. But Grush had his couple of interviews, I think, with Rogan, I think with Jesse Michaels and Ross Coulthard
Mhm.
and Tucker Carlson.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Then he vanished.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a guy who goes to a major league game, gets called up, hits a home run in his first at bat, and says, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough for me. I accomplished the goal. I'm done. The UFO community supports David Grush.
Yeah.
And I don't think David listens to us. And frankly, if he does, great. If he does, that's okay too.
Yeah, for sure. So what I'm wondering though with Grush is, okay, so he was the first big guy up to bat on this. And he got in there and he put his neck on the line and at Congress and said all this stuff. Now, what I'm wondering is and then he did this. I know he had some personal issues, or allegedly, but what I'm wondering is when you're the lone, sharpshooter out there, it's kind of tough. I mean, I think he opened the door for a lot of other guys to come out. I'm just wondering if it's his handlers or if it's his lawyer, whatever, saying you need to lay low or whatever. But yeah, with the support of the community, but the support of, I'm sure, Elizondo and all the guys that have been in the military and in those positions, for lack of a better term, those whistleblowers, they would be, as military, a band of brothers. So I'm not sure what the reluctance or whatever it is for Greer to come out. Maybe he's just told he can't. Maybe he's just sick and tired of it. Maybe he said what he said, and I'm finished, right? I'm not sure. It's kind of a strange thing because, yeah, like you said, he just kind of see ya.
Well, he is starting to be a consultant for there. I guess there's a big movie coming out, not the Steven Spielberg one, but Hollywood's going crazy.
Oh, trying to bid on it
over the UFO
mm-hmm.
phenomena here. They're getting like big time writers wanting to get involved and everything like this. And apparently Grush is going to be a consultant there.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, drops the UFO community.
Yeah.
Now, could you imagine a sports athlete? Okay.
Okay.
Take any athlete, doesn't matter, baseball, football,
yep,
hockey, basketball, and literally saying to the fans, yeah, I'm your number one person in your field
mm-hmm.
That you love. I'm the number one guy in your team, the league, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to acknowledge you, even though you're buying my jerseys, you're buying my brand,
mm-hmm.
you're buying everything of mine, but you are not important to me.
Oh, Pavel Bure. Oh, got
it. Right? But
yep.
That's the exact same scenario
absolutely
as a lot of the, not just Grush, but a lot of these people.
Good parallel.
Right?
Yeah.
The community will support you, but you got to support the community back.
Yeah.
That's only fair.
Yeah.
We're not seeing it because that, my friends, is what we call the narrative. What that narrative is. As we say goodnight to him. And hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Paul. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LCAT, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, #Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my
don't
friend,
make a mistake. We're watching.
Beyond the night, Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right, we're clear.
We's clear.
Jeremy Jones, I would say you're onto something there about that, and there are people looking into that, and that's a good path to go down, in my opinion. How's my stomach?
Was it?
Yeah.
Need to go to the In-N-Out?
No. Boy, could I use a burger right now.
Oh gosh.
I would do almost anything to drive to Williams Lake right now and go to that McDonald's.
Oh.
I could use a nice, real nice. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Okay.
I love a quarter pounder with cheese.
Yep.
Just onions.
No.
Extra onions. Just onions, cheese, and beef.
Oh, like an onion burg. Yeah.
I would say that.
You know what happened today? Had lunch. There's only me and the driver in today. Everybody else was off. So I didn't leave the desk, and my lead driver comes in. He goes, "Have you eaten?" I was like, "Nope." I said, "I haven't got up. I'm doing all this paperwork." He goes, "Oh," he says, "I'm going to go get us lunch." I said, "Okay, cool." So he takes off, comes back about a half hour later. He's got pizza.
Oh, no.
Yep. I had 2 pieces of pizza, and that was at about 1:30 this afternoon. And my guts were on fire. And I was like, Dave warned me about this in my head.
Their pizza has gone way downhill.
Yep.
Their pizza's, hey, just Ryan, how you doing? Yeah, their pizza's gone way downhill.
Oh,
it's a 2-for-1 pizza shop that does not honor 2-for-1.
No, it's just in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God that girl that works up front, she's got a drawer of all the Advil and whatever. She's got this big thing of Tums, and I was just
dude, that's how my desk is at work. I got everything. I'm like a medical cabinet.
Yeah, I was like, God dang it. Yeah, not the greatest pizza, that's for sure.
It's gone way downhill.
Cook your own food, folks. True. Your fingers are so fat, you can't even type.
This program is just so sensitive.
Okay.
You know, after those couple erased on me, I'm just like paranoid.
Yeah, I guess so.
By it.
Don't
right?
blame you. Don't blame you.
Oh, I understand that, Philip Blair. I'm sure there have been people much cheaper and wise ass than me who've called them out on that, called the franchise offer. Change the name.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was another. Well, they're probably down the Lower Mainland. I don't know if they're still around. They're not up here, obviously. There's another 2-for-1 franchise down in Vancouver, and they used to made with real cheese. But if you looked at it carefully, made with real cheese, and the real cheese has got a copyright. So it wasn't made with real cheese. It was made with the brand called Real Cheese.
Or Real cheese.
Real. Ooh. What was it called? A Whopper Royale?
Royale with cheese.
That's it.
The old Royale with cheese.
No, I walked through the valley.
I love that movie.
Me too.
What's better, Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs?
Oh, damn. Really? Oh, I love them both.
Stuck in the Middle with You?
Oh, yeah. That's just brutal.
That's just horrible.
Yeah. But I love Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Damn. I gotta,
See, I don't know. To me, 2 of my favorite actors, Harvey Keitel and Christopher Walken.
Oh, Christopher Walken is awesome.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with him, actually funny, yesterday. Him and Johnny, I watched an interview with Johnny Rotten, and I watched an interview with Christopher Walken, and the interview was really good with Walken. Then they said to Walken, what's with the intonation in your voice? And he just said to him, he goes, when I've got a part, I read it to myself for like 8 days straight. And he goes, and I try to figure out what I'm going to be. He says, I start off, he goes, he goes, usually what I try to do is, he says, I start off where everybody's very intrigued with what I'm saying. And, I'm that guy at the party that people are looking at and going, oh, okay. He says, and then when I change the intonation and I start going higher, he says, all of a sudden people start looking and going, he's a bit of a weirdo. And why is he talking to my kid? He goes, that's the way I read my scenes. I was like, yeah, I can see it. Christopher Walken's awesome.
Still, his best scene ever was Cowbell.
Oh, man. Bruce Dickinson says you need more cowbell.
God, that was still.
They couldn't keep.
That's when Jimmy Fallon was funny.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's horrible. Since he took over late night.
Yeah, I don't like Jimmy
Late
Fallon.
show. He's terrible.
Yeah, I like Kimmel. I
Kimmel's
love
never been
Colbert.
funny.
Pardon me?
Never found Kimmel funny.
He's insultingly funny. I like Stephen Colbert.
Kimmel to me is the kind of guy, and I mean this with all due respect, but he's the guy where, there's certain people when they were in teenagehood, probably needed a punch to the head.
Oh yeah, he's a crank anchor, right?
Yeah, he was probably the type of guy who would sucker you in the bar and then run behind his big friends.
Yeah, I get you.
I
get you.
That's what I think of Kimmel. I just,
Yeah.
never a fan.
I like Jon Stewart. I remember back in the day when it was the old Daily Show, and then he had Stephen Colbert on as a reporter. Then they had the Stephen Colbert Show, but I just like that super fast, quick wit that Colbert has.
Colbert was great until he became politically affiliated.
True. True.
I'm sorry, I don't watch late night television shows for your politics. Make me laugh.
Oh,
Can we get back, going back to Johnny Carson. I never got Johnny Carson when I was a kid.
No.
Got him as an adult.
Yeah. I was a Letterman fan. Totally.
Letterman as well.
Yeah. I was a hardcore Letterman fan during the 80s, early 80s.
Even Conan. You think about it. You gave up Conan.
Yeah.
Conan wasn't the funniest, but he sure as hell wasn't. Bob Saget, not funny.
Oh, no. Or Jay Leno, not funny.
Right.
I wasn't a Leno fan either. No, I was a true blue, definitely a Letterman fan. I think I still have one of his shirts, but I won't wear it anymore. The late show with David Letterman. It's like, no, still hanging up in my closet. Yeah, Jimmy Fallon, forget it. Seth Meyers,
not funny. And can we get a little, I'm going to clap on television when Drew Barrymore's show goes off the air.
She has a show?
Yeah.
Oh.
She's got one of them daytime talk shows. It's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
She cares about everything.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. Did you know, true story about Drew Barrymore,
Mm-hmm.
She actually has her own psychic business in and around Hollywood. Apparently, she is incredibly psychic.
Really?
Yeah.
Get her on the show.
I would love to.
Okay. She'd probably do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to get her on. That would be fun.
It's so funny because the earliest memory of her is from E.T. She's just a little girl.
Nobody knows Drew Barrymore is a 51-year-old woman.
No, absolutely not.
Everybody knows her as the little girl from E.T.
Yeah. I remember her standing up on Letterman's desk and flashing him.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. That's when I think just before she married Tom Green. I'm like, what are you doing, girl?
Oh, she was coked out back then.
Oh, Firestarter. Yes, I remember her in that. I didn't know she was psychic, though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Christine Lynn remembers. She says, oh, my God, yes, she did. Imagine growing up in that family with the Barrymores. Oh my God.
Do you know how much cocaine was in that house?
Oh,
I mean, my 9-year-old daughter is addicted to cocaine.
yeah.
Boy,
Exactly.
what a great parenting life. The poor thing, man.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And then Lionel, well, I think he was dead, but I mean, yeah, Lionel Barrymore. Hanging out with the Rat Pack.
Brutal. So not a fan.
No.
You know, I have only ever seen cocaine in my life 1, 2. Never mind school. They would bring in the boards that had all the police would bring in the boards. Don't do drugs.
Sergeant Stadenko would come in. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe three times in my life.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Nope.
I don't even. Yeah.
Never done it.
Smart man.
Felt it. Made out with a chick one time
Mm-hmm.
who was on it.
Yeah.
And realized that my mouth went numb really quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. I spent far too long dancing with that devil. Come on, what is it?
4 times. Pardon me.
Okay.
4 times in my life. I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm coming up, 20 years clean off that crap. 21 years clean off that crap. Yeah, because last year was 20.
So when I was single, a buddy of mine in radio,
Mm-hmm.
he was, these girls invited him over.
Yeah.
And they're like, and he's like, well, I got my buddy Dave here. Do you mind we come by? Sure. Not a problem. And, none of them were really my type, and all of a sudden, the knock on the door.
Nice, Mothman. Congrats.
All of a sudden, there's a knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy comes in. Oh, hey, how you doing? Sits a small talk. All of a sudden, reaches into his pocket. And
Out come the flap.
Out comes a couple of flaps. Right? Now, I'm pretty naive when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And I hate to say that. I am.
No, don't
Why
be
is
doing
your mic so?
Appreciate.
Are little people everywhere,
quiet
or
my
are they
mic is.
just in
I talk
areas that
loud
tend
in
to
this.
have
Yeah.
a lot of First Nations people around?
In my personal opinion, they are everywhere. I have seen more little people.
Oh my God! I just downloaded the wrong
wrong
show.
one.
All that.
Fling flang and oh God.
I'm like, why does that sound like Robin?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get rid of this. I love restarting.
Yeah.
Makes me so happy. But anyways,
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile,
getting back to my story.
Yeah.
View. Okay, let's download the proper one this time. Getting back to my story.
Mm-hmm.
This guy flicks over the baggies, and these girls start chopping up right there.
Oh yeah.
And I looked at my buddy and I said, dude, I'm out.
Mhm.
I'm out.
Yep.
Don't do this stuff.
Nope.
Don't even want to be a stranger. And like the dealer, I mean, if he probably was packing, okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat his ass. I did.
Yep.
But not me, man.
No.
Not for me. I see that shit. I go the wrong opposite way, man.
Well, wait, you're smart, dude. Way smart. God, I remember you just become friends with anybody. I just, yeah, man, Mussolini or whoever.
Who is that Hollywood comedian who he did so much blow that his nose actually
Oh,
shriveled up?
Artie Lang.
Yeah.
Yeah. You crushed it up with a salt shaker, and the bottom of the salt shaker was all splintering. Yeah. And broke it all, like just crushed up the rocks, and then did his thing, and yeah, all shards, micro shards of glass all through his nose. And it's like with Stevie Nicks, she has no septum, right? Oh yeah, it's all fun and games.
Well, if I want to go see Stevie Nicks in concert, I'll go to the local goat farm and listen to them. Bah.
I saw Fleetwood Mac.
You would see Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. Oh, I went and saw them. Well, I wanted to see Chrissy McVie. I always liked her voice. And it was like, damn, she's not in there, but I'd already bought tickets. So I went, and it was all right. I saw Jeff Courtnall was there, and I was just up about 6 or 7 rows up off the side of the stage, and Jeff Courtnall's up. Oh my God. What a sloppy mess he was.
You know what he's worth?
No.
After his hockey career ended due to concussions,
yeah,
he lived in Seattle.
Oh.
And he had a bunch of buddies who were getting into the .coms.
Oh.
And so he invested some of his hockey money.
Yeah.
And this is going back like 25 years ago. He was worth, numbers wise, I had heard like close to like $100 million, $200 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that explains the candy that he had on his arm that night. But man, he was just wrecked. I was like, that guy's not going to make it through the whole concert. No way.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's start this again.
Okay.
Thank goodness I've done almost all the hard work.
Almost.
Oh.
It's perfect temperature in here.
It's warm out though.
Outside?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's warm out.
And it just, you can feel it in the air. It's kind of like that.
Literally, we're back to t-shirt weather.
Yeah. And I wore this sweater tonight, and
I don't know why.
I don't know either.
You look really annoyed in that sweater.
I look very annoyed.
Yeah.
Like this.
Your body's annoyed. Oh, you jerk and a half. This is the kind of delays that just piss me off.
Piss.
No, I edited it wrong. Yeah. Now I got to move the cursor over another millimeter.
Uh-huh.
You jerk. Back to that quarter pounder with cheese. I got to tell you, McDonald's pickles are horrible.
Yeah.
And you know how they say that never date anybody who your dog doesn't like?
Yeah.
I'm the same way with people who like McDonald's pickles. If you like McDonald's pickles, there is something wrong, seriously mentally wrong.
I like the white spot pickles.
Yeah, those are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about those, the way those McDonald's pickles are
yeah. They're in a huge, gigantic bucket. Well, they were.
What are you doing, Dave? Are we on number 2? We're on number 2. All right. Sorry, I got to concentrate here. But those McDonald's pickles are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of ketchup and mustard they put on there, it's like A&W. They have like this addiction to filling half your burger up with that gross mustard that they use.
Oh, yeah. I have to admit, I don't mind. I don't want it swimming in it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't mind. I like the condiments. But now what I do when I make them at home, I don't even use any of it. What I do is I put that stone ground mustard and in a little mixing cup and with real mayonnaise, same amount. So just say whatever, half an ounce an ounce each, stir it all up and just use that on my burger. Damn. Very good.
I will say this though. It is really nice that you can get McDonald's like Big Mac sauce at the supermarket now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
I can't eat Big Mac stuff anymore.
Shaq Valet, how you doing? David Stein, good to see you. David Stein's father hated white spot pickles.
Did he?
Yeah.
What's wrong with your dad, Dave? Pickles, you know what? Pickles, I find, and now that my brain just went click. Pickles are a super personal choice. I think everybody is picky. Everybody's picky with their pickles. Because I know I am.
Do you like those little sweet ones?
No, I don't
Really?
like sweet mixed pickles.
Oh, dude, I could pound those.
Those mighty gherkins.
The little ones that come in the fancy jar.
Yeah.
Love those.
Nope.
Love those.
Nothing sweet mixed. Thank you. Relish is all I can do. That's
relish is horrible.
Yeah.
Relish is overrated.
Yeah. I don't even use
Unless
use
it's
it
on
anymore.
a hot dog.
Yeah. Mustard on my hot dog.
Wise ass McCoy, how you doing? David Stein says, I moved to Toronto because of white spot pickles. And I knew Nat Bailey as a kid. Oh, wow.
Holy mac.
Baseball stadium's great, though.
Yeah.
Love Nat Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem with Nat Bailey Stadium is it would be the perfect baseball stadium if they had rotated it 180 degrees.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Then you would have had the entire view of Vancouver with the North Shore Mountains.
Mhm.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at a little hillside.
Oh, yeah.
Which is still gorgeous.
Yeah. Some of us would get sick at lunch sometimes and go to the nooner at the Nat.
Oh, I love nooners at the Nat.
Yeah. Get a little pre-watered before you showed up.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Moody Mongol, how are you? Sick bastard, that Moody Mongol.
Is he?
Oh, sick bastard. I do like a good dill pickle, though.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Okay, here's the big question, though.
Okay.
Why do we call them pickles when they're cucumbers?
Well, I don't know. We don't call beets pickles when they're pickled. Yeah, good question. Because they are pickled, but yeah.
But it's still a pickled cucumber.
That's right.
Like a pickled beet or pickled garlic.
I love pickled beets.
You probably like pickled herring, too.
Oh, no. Don't be sick.
Paramarv, everything can be pickled. Everything can be pickled, but it doesn't mean that it's...
I've been pickled. Yeah. I don't like anything. Pickled fish. No. That's an English thing, too. I remember.
You ever watch those videos of the people trying to open up that can of
Stromsalot or what?
Stewing or something?
The guy that owns Napa up in Williams Lake, a friend of mine, he got some sent over. I didn't go to that party, but they filmed it and they opened that can up and it's like, and
Strumming.
Yeah, it's like nope, can't do it. Watching guys barfing in the backyard just because of the smell, and then he's like, "Oh, come on, you can do this." And
I watched one time. I guess these guys do this show, like 5 dudes in a car, and they see what they.
Oh yeah,
5 or 6 dudes in a car, and they decided to open up one of those cans, and literally, total guy humor.
Yeah,
everybody is just puking all over the place.
and there was a girl in the back seat too that's part of the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was just all over. It was literally one of the Davey, the process for picking.
Oh my God.
What the hell is this, Deb, you sicko? Davey, the process for picking is used for sex toys. They are nice and tangy. Ew! Nobody wants tangy.
Dab.
Come on.
What's wrong with you?
This isn't 70s, 80s porno, Deb. Oh my gosh, Deb.
I brought the cheese pizza and the pepperoni.
Oh that's terrible.
I know, right? Mothman, everybody's like, come on, Deb.
Oh my goodness.
It is funny though.
Debster, that is cringe awesome. Oh, Deb, you kill me. Hey, I got them all.
Crystal Christine Lynn. Boom, chicka, wow, wow.
Mm-hmm. See, back when you were young, at least porn had storylines back then. There are no storylines today. Guaranteed somewhere in Deb's house, there's a casting couch. Guaranteed.
Oh,
Black leather casting couch in Deb's house against a plain white wall.
Brings people in and they're like, what smells like pickles? Does it smell like pickles in here to you?
Tim's like, well, it does have a little tangy flavor around here.
Gosh, I can smell it.
Have
you been pickling? Kind of weird time of year to pickle.
Oh, Deb's admitting to the casting couch in her house now. You go to Deb's house probably, and there's upside down pineapples all over the place. In fact, she has a spotlight in her backyard that shines up on a cloudy night. You can see the upside down pineapple.
It's a pineapple signal.
I think we should do a t-shirt on that. Deb's casting couch.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Put an alien on there sitting down.
I'm new here. I'm new here. So what are we doing?
Oh my God. Oh, Deb. Freaking love you, Deb.
I know, it's awesome.
Freaking love you. I am dying here.
I know.
Oh, God. Oh my. We've officially lost control.
Totally.
Officially lost control.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What a good way to end it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be driving home tonight and just start laughing about that. It's like, what?
Oh, man. I don't even know where to begin.
No.
Sometimes it's just safe to just. David Stein says he will pay up to $5 for the triple O sauce recipe.
Oh, here we go. Swirling down the drain.
Oh, my. This is just. Anybody who watches this, they're going to be like, what is this filth?
It's just like a sleepover when you're kids. Somebody farted and the whole place just...
One of my best friends, his name was Dean.
Mhm.
He was like his entire family was like 350 plus. Okay. And he was the beanpole.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But every time he stayed the night at my house, man, it was like I had to like open my window. He was like Gas City all the time.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, back then it was hilarious.
Of course.
Then one night he decides, remember, I don't know if you remember, like when you were young. I mean, I know you were excited to get a yo-yo back then. Right? But he had one of these.
I got the string for my birthday.
He had one of these cassette Fisher Price recording that came with the microphone.
Yeah.
So he brings it over one night.
Nice.
He literally sat up like till 2-3 in the morning recording his farts.
Nice, Dean.
Now, as a kid, I appreciated that.
Smell my microphone.
Oh, I didn't get anywhere near that microphone.
Oh my God.
Oh God, I'll never forget that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my favorite is we're going to set up the tent in the backyard and all your buddies come over and we're up all night. Yeah. I don't even know. Like 11 o'clock.
Oh, I can still go.
Yeah.
If I have reason to go.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. Like here, I'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
Vegas. There is no timeline.
Yeah.
I'll get to bed when I decide to get to bed.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and even when I'm tired,
mm-hmm.
Tim Mothman can prove this because he's gone hard with me a couple of times at the casinos. God bless you, Tim Mothman, and your goatee. 2 separate entities, by the way. Right? But we went, I think in Reno, we went until 5:30, 6 o'clock almost every night.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then Vegas before that, I think the earliest I went to bed in Vegas was 4:30.
Wow.
The one morning it was 7.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yeah. Blackout curtains.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Tim quit on me. That's right, Tim. You quit on me. You wouldn't even let the goatee stay and party, you selfish bastard. Yeah. Finally, Tim, I gotta go to bed, man. I'm tired. Yeah. Yeah. You go.
Yeah. Not like there's not anybody else up that you could just wander around and hang out.
Right. Yep. Fucking Tim. Tim, you better be coming to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Tim's great. He really is a good dude. Yeah. Really.
Well, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I was giving Christine Lynn Canadian lessons today because she sent me a map and then she says, yeah, we're whatever, moved to Canada. And I said, okay, so first of all, you have to learn how to say A. We went back and forth for a bit. It was funny. And then Tim tried it tonight and I was like, oh, you need more lessons.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. All right, guys. All right. Let's shut her down. Tomorrow night on the show, David Hooper is going to be here.
Hooper?
He's got some UFO detection technology he's working on. He's going to break it all down for us. He's one of them smart people. Yeah. One of them smart people that probably going to make me look bad. But that's okay. Thank you tonight to Deborah Rooney ×2, Chill Farm ×2, Frankie ×2, Mayhem, Jake, Tim, Lee, and Richard for the super chats. We'll see you all tomorrow night, guys. Sunmaster, how you doing? And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why, Tim?
We have no ugly swag.
No
people.
ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So go shopping. Bye.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.